Chapter 42:69. The movement of the reincarnation pool wasn't big. However, the great angel's aura was still detected by the experts of the church. Instantly, countless figures rushed towards the reincarnation pool. The most important thing of the Church of Light was the reincarnation pool. It was precisely because of the reincarnation pool that the Church of Light could suppress the Dark Church. If something were to happen to the reincarnation pond, then it would be a huge loss to the Radiant Church. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that the Radiant Church's vitality would be greatly damaged. The first to arrive were the bishops. As soon as they arrived, they sensed that something was wrong. The holy light that usually shrouded the outside was now almost invisible. This shocked them. They were puzzled and realized that they were in big trouble. Quick, go in. There must be something wrong with the reincarnation pool. When they were about to reach the reincarnation pool, Irina and Bo Dong, who were lying in ambush, immediately attacked. Irina's strength skyrocketed. She used many of the secret techniques of the Church of Light and killed 3 of them in an instant. Irina also threw caution to the wind. As long as she guarded this place, she would naturally reap the benefits. As for how long she could hold on, Irina wasn't sure. This time she had to make a choice. In Irina's opinion, this should be a small test from the Lord. After killing the bishops, Irina's expression didn't change much. Since she had already betrayed the Church of Light, it didn't matter if she killed 3 more bishops. The feeling of being in control of life and death was really great. As for Bo Dong, his emotions were very complicated. He didn't think of making a move, but he had no choice. Either he made a move or he would be killed by Irina. Bo Dong wasn't stupid. He chose the first option. Irina, who had cultivated the angel wings, wasn't something that could be resisted. One could imagine the final outcome. The 2 immediately cleaned up the bishops' corpses and once again laid in ambush. Relying on this method, they attacked several times. None of the bishops were killed. The 2 secretly heaved a sigh of relief. At least it wasn't as dangerous as they had imagined. Irina, you really have guts. You actually dared to kill a member of the society. Why aren't you surrendering? Not long after, another bishop came, but this time Irina failed. The killer move was blocked by them. Although they were injured, no one killed them on the spot. Irina had been prepared for this. Now that she had cultivated the angel wings, she could naturally receive the blessing of the holy light. Her strength had skyrocketed, so there was nothing to be afraid of. Surrender? You're thinking too much. If you have the ability, then do it yourselves. Let's see if I'm going to kill you or if you're going to capture me. The bishop's expression darkened. He didn't know what was wrong with Irina for her to say something like that. However, when he saw the angel wings, he sucked in a breath of cold air. Even they had not cultivated the angel wings. This step was too difficult. With the angel wings, his battle prowess had skyrocketed. With the support of the holy light, he had the strength to crush them. As soon as they started fighting, the situation became unequal. They retreated in defeat and didn't dare to fight Irina anymore. At this moment, the commotion here attracted the Saintess candidates. As soon as the Saintess in training arrived, her expression changed. She couldn't believe the changes in Irina. It was rumored that only a true Saintess could cultivate angel wings, because this step was too difficult. As long as you cultivated the angel wings, then it would only be a matter of time before you cultivated the 6 wings and 8 wings. But who knew how many people had been stumped by this first step? It was just that none of the Saintess candidates had cultivated the angel wings. Not even a shadow. Irina, how dare you betray the church? One of the Saintess in training was furious. Irina laughed. I did betray the church, but so what? I've long been unhappy with you. Today, let me teach you how to be a person. Irina didn't have a good impression of these Saintess in training. They often schemed against others. Now, she finally had the chance to take revenge. Relying on the angel wings, she could come and go as she pleased. Time condensed into blades, and each blade was fatal. How could these saintess in training be a match for Irina? At this moment, Irina was a completely ferocious existence. In a single exchange, she could kill the saintess in training, leaving behind corpses. She was unbelievably ferocious. In the distance, Bourong took a deep breath. The Church of Light had suffered a great loss this time. No one could have imagined that Irina, the saintess in training, had become the most outstanding one. Bourong admired that lord even more. With a wave of his hand, he had created a ferocious existence. One could tell just by looking at the faces of the bishops. Each of them had a look of fear, not daring to make a move. After all, under the angel wings, no one could resist. Moreover, in the entire Church of Light, there were very few people who could cultivate the angel wings. Everyone's cultivation was a treasure of the Church. But Irina wasn't one now. She had gone against the Church in front of everyone. Holy light shroud. Without warning, a huge cage instantly appeared around Irina, trapping her inside. Saintess, give up resistance. You are still a saintess. A majestic and deep voice came from afar. A figure descended from the sky. Dressed in a red robe, with a crown on his head, he stood high above. If it wasn't the Pope, who could it be? Irina, on account of how difficult it was for you to cultivate, give up resistance. You are still a saintess and the only saintess. The Pope held a book in both hands, looking incomparably sacred. After seeing the Pope, Irina panicked. The Pope's strength was unfathomable. So far, no one knew what realm the Pope's strength had reached. No one who went against the Pope would have a good ending. For example, the cage. Irina used all her strength, but still couldn't break this layer of the cage. She even found that this cage could block the entry of the holy light, causing her strength to continuously decline. Without a doubt, the more Irina fought, the faster the power of the holy light in her body dissipated, and in the end, she became an ordinary person. Even if she could cultivate the angel wings, but the cage blocked the aura of the holy light. Without the holy light, it was obvious what would happen to her. Pope, I'm not a saintess. You're mistaken, and I can't be a saintess anymore. If I want to be a female pope. I think the Church of Light needs a female pope. Inexplicably, Irina thought of Lin Fei's words. Everything should be done in one go. A hint of anger appeared on the Pope's calm face. The Pope had never heard such arrogant words, and it came from Irina's mouth. Then you'd better reflect on yourself and stop daydreaming. Chapter 4270. As soon as the cage space shrank, Irina instantly felt tremendous pressure. He could even smell the scent of death. As soon as the Pope made his move, everyone immediately felt the true terror of the world. Irina, I'll give you one more chance. You won't get another chance. The Pope's face was calm, as if he was waiting for Irina to make a choice. Irina resisted bitterly. Pope, you're too old. The Church of Light doesn't need someone like you. It needs a female pope like me. You can abdicate. Unless you give up the position of pope, I won't lower my head. You don't have the qualifications. Blood flowed from the corner of Irina's mouth, but she didn't give up. The higher-ups, standing behind the Pope, were all perplexed. What kind of drug had Irina taken? She dared to talk to the Pope like that. Didn't she know that her life was at stake? Once the cage was broken, Irina would die without a doubt. There wouldn't be any miracle. It's impossible for the Church of Light to have a female Pope, and they won't allow it. Since you don't want to listen to me, I'll fulfill your wish. You can slowly become a female Pope in hell. Irina was panicking. She kept praying that the Pope would help. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to hold on. The Pope's attack wasn't something anyone could withstand. At least, Irina didn't have the strength to do so. Old thing, you're bullying my subordinate. If you have the ability, come in and play with me. Otherwise, I'll look down on you. A streak of sword light flashed past, like a bolt of lightning. Everyone heard a crisp crack as the holy light cage was split open, and Irina regained her freedom. At the same time, A force enveloped Irina's body and sucked her in. Bo Dong stood in the corner, shivering. He wanted to cry, but had no tears. "Sir, you seem to have forgotten someone." He had been noticed by the higher-ups. After all, their gazes were so cold that it made him shiver. After Irina went in, he lowered his head even more and silently counted the stones under his feet. Only by acting like an ostrich could he constantly comfort himself. "Calm down, I must calm down. They can't see me. They can't see me. There's someone behind Irina. This Pope wants to see who dares to break into the reincarnation pool of the church." The Pope stepped forward. By the time they entered the door, the archangel statues were filled with huge cracks. Their pupils constricted rapidly as they flew into a rage. "You dare to destroy the archangel statue? How dare you?" His furious gaze locked onto a blurry figure in the reincarnation pool. The originally dense and boundless sacred light had become extremely thin. One could vaguely see a vortex appearing within the sacred light, and within the vortex was a figure. The Pope flipped open the book, only to see a spear of holy light piercing forth at an inconceivable speed. "Get out! No one can stay in the reincarnation pool. You don't have the right." At this moment, Irina was already standing to the side. She had taken a trip to the gates of hell, but she was relieved. She had made the best choice. She had taken on the Pope and even withstood the Pope's attack. Although the Pope had not taken her seriously from beginning to end, she had at least withstood it and did not die under the Pope's attack. As the sacred light pierced forth, a sword light flew out from the vortex. The two collided rapidly, creating ripples of energy. Cracks were left on the stone walls. It was a ghastly sight to behold. "Old thing, you're quite strong. However, this is not enough. Your reincarnation pool is really amazing. It can actually communicate with the small world and receive the blessing of the sacred light. It's a pity that you can't fully utilize the sacred light. You can only give it to me." Laughter came from the vortex. The Pope's expression turned ugly. He could feel the sacred light flowing away at a terrifying speed. It could only be said that someone in the vortex was devouring the sacred light. The Pope found it hard to believe. One had to know that the sacred light was not an ordinary energy. It was specifically used to cleanse the power of darkness. Even ordinary people could not absorb it. Unless they cultivated the techniques of the Church of Light, they could only look at it. It was useless. "Get out." The Pope activated the Holy Bible and strode over. An archangel flew out of thin air and rushed into the vortex. There was more than one archangel. After the first one appeared, the second one appeared. One after another, the archangels rushed into the vortex. The Pope's expression turned solemn. These archangels were just probing. He wanted to know who the person inside was. Could it be those old fogies from the Western world? But thinking about it, those old fogies were very cautious. They would never dare to have any ideas about the Church of Light. The Pope couldn't think of who was inside. After the 8 archangels flew in, they lost contact with him. The Pope's expression became serious. He knew that he had encountered an expert. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to enter the reincarnation pool. "You have some ability. No wonder you dared to enter the Church of Light. Then I won't let you stay." The Pope's Holy Bible flew out of his hand and landed above the vortex. A sacred light shone down. When the sacred light appeared, Irina felt the threat of death. She knew that the Holy Bible was the strongest weapon of the Church of Light. With the Holy Bible, the Pope had invincible strength, especially this sacred light. It was not an ordinary sacred light. It could seriously injure a duke or even a grand duke of the Dark Church. Under the illumination of the sacred light, everything began to melt. Even the sacred light above the reincarnation pool disappeared in the blink of an eye. When the sacred light dissipated, a figure appeared. It was the figure of a young man. After seeing this figure, the Pope's eyes narrowed as he recognized the other party. "You're Lin Fei. How dare you barge into the Church of Light? Hand over the God Tree of Life, and I can spare your life. Otherwise, under the power of the Holy Bible, you'll be reduced to ashes and cease to exist." The Pope shouted. The sacred light from the Holy Bible rolled down. His aura increased a lot. Lin Fei, who was enveloped by the sacred light, suddenly raised his head and swallowed the sacred light. Smack! Smack! The Pope is the Pope. The sacred light from the Holy Bible is especially delicious. It is very satisfying to eat. I don't know how long this sacred light can last. It would be best if it lasts for 3 days and 3 nights. Lin Fei smiled. The Pope's face darkened. You are addicted to it. What the hell? Chapter 42:71. A large amount of holy light was swallowed by Lin Fei at a speed visible to the naked eye. The Pope was stunned by what he saw. This was the holy light blessed by the Bible. Under the illumination of the holy light, everything would turn into ashes. But this time, something unexpected happened. Someone was fine under the holy light. Instead, he was nourished. What was more terrifying was that the holy light of the Bible was swallowed by the other party. The other party was like a bottomless pit. At this moment, the Pope finally understood why the holy light had disappeared. It turned out to be swallowed by someone. This was such an incredible thing. If he did not see it with his own eyes, who would believe it? Stop! The Pope was furious. The Bible moved without any wind and turned to a page. A huge palm print descended from the sky. It was aimed at Lin Fei. Lin Fei raised his head and met it with his palm. If you have any means, just use them. Don't dilly-dally. Otherwise, don't hinder me from absorbing the holy light. This holy light is a great supplement. Under the collision of their palms, the move created by the Bible did not work. Instead, it was easily disintegrated by the other party. Swish! Swish! The Pope would not give up. The Bible kept turning. All sorts of secret arts were thrown out. Any one of these secret arts could make one feel how terrifying they were, and there was no way to defend against them. However, in front of Lin Fei, these moves and secret techniques were useless. They were all nullified. This also made the Pope hide his heart. With this Bible, he was always successful. He did not even need to summon the archangel to suppress all resistance. Even the leader of the dark church had suffered a lot in his hands. With the Bible, he was the strongest. But now, the Pope had underestimated the strength of Lin Fei. With the Bible, he was not affected at all. Instead, the power of the holy light in his body was being consumed faster and faster. It was obviously not a way to continue. Alina was the happiest. She knew that the Pope could not do anything to His Excellency. As someone who grew up in the Church of Light, Alina knew the power of the Bible better than anyone else. This Bible could not threaten His Excellency. Alina felt that what His Excellency said was very reasonable. It seemed that she could do it in one step. It was not impossible for a saintess to ascend to the position of the Pope. At the thought of becoming the first female Pope in the history of the Church of Light, Irina's imagination was running wild. If it was in the past, she definitely wouldn't have thought about it because it was too far away and unrealistic. Right now, there seemed to be a certain possibility. This Bible of yours is quite useful. My subordinates just happen to lack a decent treasure. This Bible will do. Lin Fei reached out and grabbed the Bible with his fingers like a mountain. Don't you dare! This is the sacred relic of the Church of Light. No one can take it away. The Pope immediately flew the Bible back. With Lin Fei's grab, no matter how the Pope tried to control the Holy Bible could not return. Lin Fei, you brought about your own destruction. You can't blame anyone else for this. Seeing that he couldn't get the Bible back, the Pope coldly snorted and formed a seal with his hands. In an instant, the Bible changed. With a hua sound, it wriggled and turned into an archangel. This archangel was shrouded in a holy aura, giving people a very comfortable feeling. In front of this archangel, people would even have the thought of worshipping it. Irina couldn't help but exclaim, This is the legendary weapon spirit of the Church of Light. Such a weapon spirit really exists. Irina had always thought that it was just a legend and didn't really believe it, but now she finally believed it. Your Excellency, this kid broke into the church and devoured the holy light. I suspect that he has a big secret on him. I hope that Your Excellency can suppress him, the Pope said respectfully to the archangel. This archangel didn't have too many wings. However, this archangel gave off a terrifying aura. Mysterious light runes were constantly flashing on its body, making it look even more mysterious. You can actually absorb the power of the holy light. Interesting. I need to dig out the secret on you. The Holy Lord's arrogant face was filled with determination. The Holy Lord waved his hand and the holy light appeared. The holy light, which had become thin, was controlled by the Holy Lord. So much nonsense. Why did you have to come out instead of being a weapon spirit? Who do you think you are? Lin Fei extended his hand once more. His 5 fingers were like mountains, trapping the other party. His 5 fingers were like mountains, forming a space of its own. It was no different from a prison. 3 true fire, a ball of flame, appeared from his 5 fingers. The moment this ball of flame appeared, it was like a rolling wave that crushed the Holy Lord. The Holy Lord, who didn't care at first, instantly screamed in pain. Green smoke was emitted from his body. His entire body was covered in flames, making him look like a man made of fire. Ah, what kind of damn flame is this? It can actually hurt my soul. Stop! Stop! You bastard! Facing the 3 true fire, the Holy Lord couldn't take it at all. The sudden scene caused the Pope to be dumbfounded. The great Holy Lord was in trouble. The strongest aspect of the Bible was actually not a match for the other party. What kind of joke was this? Holy Lord, don't worry. I will save you. Lin Fei turned his head and looked at the Pope. You don't have the right to speak here. Don't have the right? I am the Pope. I have the right. With a swoosh, a huge sword chi came down. So fast. The moment the holy light appeared in front of the Pope, he was sent flying with a huge sword wound on his body. If you make any more moves, I will kill you with one sword. After the Pope landed on the ground, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Taking the opportunity, Irina activated her angel wings and punched the Pope's body. Pope, there will also be a day when you get beaten up by me. Weren't you very arrogant just now? What else do you have to say now? The Pope's entire face turned pale. His face was filled with anger and a trace of fear, as well as a trace of palpitation. You are just a small saintess in training, Irina. I am the Pope, even if I am heavily injured. Do you think I can't suppress you? The Pope stood up and spat out another mouthful of blood. Many cracks appeared on his body. It turned out that the sword strike just now directly caused the Pope to be heavily injured. Irina wasn't going to be polite anymore. Holy light slash. 1 slash landed on the Pope's body. How much ability do you have? Let's see who will take care of who today. Pope, you are old. It is time for you to give up your position. I am more qualified than you to be the female Pope. Irina's attack was like a mountain. The slash was so fierce. The Pope had a hard time blocking, leaving many wounds on his body. Damn it, damn it. Chapter 42:72. Trash, really trash. What use do I have for you? Holy Lord was enveloped by the 3 true flame and was burning as he cried out in pain. He thought that the Pope would help him. As long as he had time, he would definitely be able to break out. However, he didn't expect the Pope to be so weak. He couldn't even restrain the enemy and was happy for nothing. Lin Fei's 3 true flame was so strong, and it wasn't so easy to ignore. Don't count on the Pope, he can't even protect himself now. Lin Fei smiled. Another sword slashed across the sky. The Pope was sent flying once more, along with Irina's fierce attacks. Who knew how many wounds there were on his body? Most of them were left by Irina. Shameless sneak attacking. How could Holy Sky not see what Lin Fei was planning? He obviously didn't want the Pope to attack. Why aren't you trash coming over? What are you waiting for outside? Holy Sky hollered. His voice was like an earthquake, deafening. Outside the door, the higher-ups of the church were all stunned. Their faces were ashen white and filled with fear. The Pope was the top expert in the Church of Light. With the Bible, he could suppress anyone he wanted. However, the situation was totally unexpected. Lin Fei from China, the guy on the wanted list, was unbelievably strong. Even the artifact spirit in the Bible, Lord Holy Sky, wasn't his match. If they went up, wouldn't they just be sending themselves to their deaths? They were all smart people. How would they dare to take the risk now? This was just asking for trouble, and they might die at any moment. These people looked at one another. They all lowered their heads and looked at the ground as if there was money to be picked up. The entire place was silent. Holy Sky was really furious. After he broke free, he wiped them out one by one. The Church of Light didn't need such cowards. Lin Fei smiled calmly. Stop shouting, this is reality. I have no choice. You are trapped by me. Let's see whether or not you have the strength to shout later. Holy Sky really didn't have the mood to shout. The three true flames seeped in, and his entire soul body started to dissipate. The originally corporeal soul body suddenly became illusory. Holy Sky was really anxious. He used all sorts of methods, but was still unable to break free. Xingtian felt that he was going to perish soon. Wait, friend, let's talk things out. You just want the reincarnation pools. Holy Light? Sure, no problem. After struggling for a while, Xingtian lowered his tone. He had no choice but to do this. What are you plotting? Do you think I don't know? Lin Fei snorted. The sword shadows that filled the sky instantly turned into a single sword and streaked across like a flowing moon. This sudden attack greatly injured Xingtian's vitality. When he condensed it again, his entire soul body became much more illusory, as if he was not far from death. Don't hit me! Don't hit me! I beg for mercy. I really beg for mercy. I can tell you everything you want to know about the Radiant Church. I can even help you summon an archangel from a small world. I just beg you to spare my life. The sacred heavens had no other choice. With just one strike, his soul body's vitality had been greatly damaged. Coupled with the burning of this strange flame, his soul body wasn't far from collapsing. Xingtian didn't dare to have any more thoughts. Previously, he had planned to scheme against the other party, but now he didn't dare to do so. If he was careless, the next sword strike would take his life. Lin Fei smiled and retracted the three true flames. The moment the three true flames disappeared, Xingtian felt as if he had just survived a calamity. He felt much better, and his expression kept changing. The Pope of the Radiant Church is too old. I think we should get a new one. Falling to death while walking is too embarrassing. Don't you think so? Falling to death while walking? Everyone was speechless. No one dared to laugh. How could Xingtian not know what this meant? Even though the other party didn't do anything, Xingtian knew that if he had any thoughts, the special flame would engulf him again and burn him to death. When the Pope saw that Xingtian had escaped, his expression lit up. His life was saved. After hearing Lin Fei's words, his heart shattered. Falling to death while walking? I'm not dead yet, okay? The Pope had a bad feeling that he might die if he did not handle it well. Xingtian, I'm the Pope, the representative appointed by the angels. If you kill me, they definitely won't let you off. Don't listen to this guy. Once you kill me, it will be your death day, the Pope hurriedly said. The Pope quickly retreated. If the Pope wanted to escape from here and the Radiant Church, he had to survive first. You don't have the right to speak here. He said that you're too old and fell to death. So be it. The church can indeed get a new one. Xingtian coldly snorted, and a divine light spear pierced through the Pope's forehead. It lifted the Pope up into the air. This kind of trash shouldn't be left alive. I've already killed him for you. Xingtian's eyes twitched. but there was nothing he could do. If the Pope didn't die, he would die. If the Pope died, he could still become an angel in the reincarnation pool. But if he died, everything would be over. Xingtian wouldn't allow that to happen. Not bad, not bad. You still know how to listen to me. Lin Fei was satisfied. Then I said that the Radiant Church needs a female pope. What do you think? Lin Fei's smile made Xingtian shudder. His gaze swept across the saintess called Irina. She had the angel's wings, and her strength was all right. The Radiant Church has always been a male pope. He has dignity, but the entire Radiant Church is lifeless. I feel that the Radiant Church needs a female pope to bring about a new revolution. I feel that this Saintess Irina is qualified to be the true pope. I am willing to follow this female pope and assist her. Xingtian gritted his teeth and said, "Swish!" The Bible appeared and floated above Irina, slowly falling into her hands. Lin Fei said calmly, "That's not enough. It's just a few sentences. Anyone can say it. What if you kill the female pope after I leave? Who can I go to? So, you should sign a contract, a master-servant contract. If she dies, you die. If you die, she doesn't die. It's that simple." Swish! A sharp sword intent came, brushing past Xingtian's Bible. "Don't do anything. I'll sign the contract. I'll sign the contract. Be careful." Before Irina could fully understand what was going on, she felt that she had one more thing. It was the Bible that only the Pope had. She could even control the power of the Bible and unleash super strength. I've become the female Pope? Irina was still in a dream. The higher-ups of the Pope outside all knelt on the ground with a thud. Welcome, female Pope. With a female Pope leading the church, we will definitely reach the peak. At this moment, Borong rushed in. He knelt beside Irina's feet. Great female Pope, I'm willing to be your servant and serve you. Chapter 4273. After Irina received the blessing of the Bible, her strength skyrocketed. Although she couldn't reach the level of the Pope, she had absolute power in the Church of Light. Irina could summon the artifact spirit. With the help of this artifact spirit, no one in the Church of Light would be a match for her. Irina felt like she was dreaming. Her unattainable dream had come true, just like that. She actually became the first female Pope of the Church of Light. It was hard to believe, but she succeeded. At the same time, Irina had her first lackey. It was none other than Bodong. He considered himself to be the number one lackey. His skin was as thick as the city walls. If it was in the past, Irina wouldn't have cared about Bodong. After all, she had fought alongside Bodong and had the qualifications to be a local lackey. In that case, he would reluctantly accept it. Seal off all news from the Church of Light. Act as if nothing happened. Lin Fei ordered. The higher-ups and bishops didn't dare to say anything. Even Saint wasn't a match for him. The Pope had been killed by the Holy Lord with a single strike of his spear. No one would take the initiative to jump out at this time. Bodong and Irina, you two go out and deal with the church's matters. Irina and Bodong left the reincarnation pool. The Bible turned back into Saint. He stood beside Lin Fei and behaved like a child. Sacred Sky was also extremely sullen. To think that he, a weapon spirit, had actually been beaten down by someone and had even signed a master-servant contract with an ant. He must have had 8 lifetimes of bad luck. Even though he and the Pope were on equal footing, they had an equal contract. How could it be as pathetic as this master-servant contract? If you do your best to assist Irina, I'll teach you the method to condense a soul body, allowing you to reach the heavens in a single bound. In the future, you'll be able to break away from the Bible and completely become a cultivator. These words drifted into Xingtian's ears. His eyes, which were originally cursing and discontented, now lit up. My Lord, is what you said true? My soul can really walk the path of cultivation, but the people in the small world said that it's impossible. I will forever be a weapon spirit. If one day I get destroyed, I will be completely destroyed. Xingtian hesitated for a moment. My lord, are you telling the truth? My soul can really walk the path of a cultivator. Lin Fei snorted coldly. A bunch of ignorant fools. The world is vast. How can they understand it? If they say there is none, then there is none. You are also the number one fool of the heaven class, believing their words. Lin Fei raised his hand and pointed, sending a beam of golden light into Xingtian's forehead. Xingtian's originally doubtful heart was instantly filled with determination. It turned out that the golden light contained a cultivation method. After seeing this cultivation method, Sacred Heaven realized that there were unimaginable mysteries in this world. There was actually such a cultivation method. If he cultivated according to this cultivation method, he would be able to walk on the path of cultivation and break away from the restraints of the artifact spirit. Sir, I will definitely assist the Pope and not let anything happen to her, Saint said with a bow. His attitude changed 180 degrees. All the hatred, all the complaints, all disappeared without a trace. All right, remember what you said. As long as Irina lives, well, your future will be limitless. So what if you walk on the path of a cultivator? You will realize that your future will be more interesting. Saint looked forward to it. Lin Fei came to the side of the reincarnation pool. Tell me about the reincarnation pool. Sacred Heaven no longer doubted Lin Fei's words. This person definitely had a great background and was even more mysterious than he had imagined. Even the people in his own small world would not be able to come up with such a technique. The reincarnation pool is actually created by the small world. Any disciple of the Radiant Church who dies will have the opportunity to reincarnate and become an angel. However, these little angels don't have consciousness and are all erased. Only those who have cultivated the angel wings will have a chance to break through to the level of an angel after reincarnation. This way, they will be able to retain their consciousness and reach a higher level of life. Xingtian explained everything in detail without leaving anything out. Lin Fei had already guessed it, but he verified it with Saint. It was almost the same as what he guessed. There should be many small worlds like yours, right? For example, the Dark Church and the Radiant Church. If they didn't have the support of a small world, they would have been destroyed long ago. Xingtian nodded his head and said, There are indeed many small worlds. In the Western world, as far as I know, Light Church has one, Dark Church has one, and in the mysterious Huaxia, there is a Kunlun secret realm. Lin Fei knew it would be like this. After listening to Saint's words, he had a deeper understanding of the Radiant Church and the entire Western world. In other words, the holy light in this small world is very dense. The reincarnation pool is only a small part of it. There are also restrictions. Saint said that is indeed the case. The people over there feel that the power of the holy light is too dense. They are afraid that the remaining reincarnation pool will explode. Thus, they restrict the power of the holy light. If Lord needs the holy light, you can just break the seal and continuously devour the holy light. However, if Lord does that, the people of the Radiant Church, no, those fellows from the Radiant world will definitely know about it. I'm afraid that they will send an archangel. Lord, you have to be careful. Lin Fei coldly snorted. Isn't it just a higher level of life? They actually have the nerve to call themselves people from the divine world. Their skin is really thick. In Lin Fei's eyes, these ants weren't qualified to be gods at all. They were just a little stronger. Lin Fei jumped into the reincarnation pool. This time, he went straight to the depths. Everywhere he went, there were radiant runes. These runes emitted a mysterious aura. The deeper he went, the more runes there were. Not long after, Lin Fei finally reached the bottom. A hexagram array appeared in front of him. Rays of holy light gushed out from the hexagram array. However, this hexagram array seemed to limit the amount of holy light. Thus, the amount of holy light that came out wasn't much. After the majority of the holy light was devoured by Lin Fei, the current holy light was somewhat thin and couldn't be supplied for a while. Sure enough, this place has a limit. No wonder the holy light can't be supplied for a while. Lin Fei didn't intend to break this limit. Leave it for later. The remaining holy light was completely absorbed. Lin Fei began to observe. He prepared to study the array. 3 days later, Lin Fei issued an order, and the Radiant Church began to move. Bookseller's website. Chapter 4274. The influence of the Church of Light was undeniable in the Western world. The materials that Lin Fei needed were delivered in a very short time. Lin Fei spent several days to crack the hexagram array. At the same time, he studied the inside and outside thoroughly. No matter what kind of array it was only a matter of time before Lin Fei, who had high attainments in this field. Moreover, these arrays were not as powerful as the ones in the other world. Lin Fei never took it seriously. Boss, these are the materials that you need. If it is not enough, I will ask the Church of Light to continue collecting and send them over immediately. Irina had already changed into the clothes of a female pope. She looked valiant and had a trace of dignity. However, in front of Lin Fei, Irina was like a little maidservant. She did not dare to have any thoughts about it. She knew that since Lin Fei was able to help her become the female pope, he would be able to knock her down with a raise of his hand. It would all be within the span of a single thought. The only thing Irina could do now was to hold on to this thick thigh. No, it should be a big backer. All right, you can go out now. Without my permission, no one is allowed to come in. Irina left the room. After Lin Fei scanned through the materials, he continued to operate the large array. This hexagram array was very ordinary. After spending some time, Lin Fei finally made some changes to the original foundation. Open. The array was activated. A steady stream of holy light gushed out from the small world, and it was much denser than before. Lin Fei smiled. That's more like it. He then sat down cross-legged. His body was like a bottomless pit, devouring the holy light. While absorbing the holy light, Lin Fei was also testing the limit of the small world's ability to gush out holy light. On the original foundation, the amount of holy light kept increasing, until one day, a tyrannical and overbearing spiritual energy swept across the area. Lin Fei immediately cut off the connection. He knew he had achieved his goal. This so-called Radiance world does have quite a number of experts. With this level of spiritual force, it should be equivalent to a Qi refining realm expert. At the very least, it's at the 7th or 8th stage. The spiritual force didn't stay for long. He didn't see anything special about it before it disappeared. Lin Fei knew that this spiritual power was here to check the cause of the leakage of the holy light. Perhaps the enemy had set up a perimeter, and if the holy light exceeded a certain limit, they would come to check. Now that Lin Fei knew the limits of the holy light, he could rest easy. He calmly absorbed the holy light energy. Over the past few days, the Tree of Life had used the power of the holy light to grow new leaves. It has become lush and green. Lin Fei was overjoyed by the Tree of Life's drastic changes. Compared to the inheritance pool of Dark Church, Lin Fei preferred the holy light here. The reason for that was because the holy light was extremely pure. While it might not be of much use to others, it was the best nourishment for the Tree of Life. Perhaps those fellows from the Radiance world might not even know about it. Lin Fei could feel his body recovering at all times. It's a pity that the Tree of Life's capacity is still limited. If it could grow into a towering tree, I could directly enter the Radiance world and devour it. It wouldn't be so troublesome. A trace of helplessness flashed in Lin Fei's eyes. Even according to the holy heavens, the Radiance world was filled with experts. In Lin Fei's eyes, they were just existences with a higher level of existence. There was no threat. If he rushed in and started a massacre, he would be able to control the Radiance world. Lin Fei suppressed this thought. He should wait for the Tree of Life to grow first. After confirming that there was no threat, Lin Fei began to arrange another formation. Outside the 6-pointed star formation, he added a new one. The formation was not a powerful one. It was just a method to condense holy light. After all, Lin Fei couldn't stay in the Radiance Church forever. This wasn't in line with Lin Fei's character. Staying here for such a long time was already not bad. If he continued to stay here, who knew how long he would have to stay? No matter how good the Western world was, it couldn't compare to China. Lin Fei would definitely leave. This formation was left behind to completely condense the holy light into a physical form, which was the rising light energy block. Only Lin Fei could do such a thing. When the holy light accumulated to a certain level, the Radiance Church would escort it over. This saved him a lot of time. When the Tree of Life grew to more than 10 meters tall, he would be able to enter the Radiance world. At that time, he could plunder the Tree of Life without restraint. Now grow it. In order to prevent people from the Radiance world from coming in to check, Lin Fei left behind a powerful imprint. This imprint could unleash the power of 3 attacks. Now that he had recovered from his injuries, the power of 3 attacks was enough to kill a Qi refining realm expert. As long as this imprint was activated, Lin Fei would be able to sense it even if he was far away in China. At that time, he could come back to oversee the Radiance Church. After the formation was activated, the holy light energy was quantified to a certain extent. From illusory to solid, it turned into an energy block that looked like a gold bar. Lin Fei wasn't surprised at all by this unimaginable method. On the other hand, Irina was dumbfounded when she came in. The boss was indeed the boss. He could turn something rotten into something magical. Lin Fei left after giving some instructions. He had set up a trap here, but it wasn't enough. Those old fogies from the Western world could be put to good use since they had nothing better to do. When Lin Fei returned, those old fogies were left outside to guard the reincarnation pool. There used to be a statue of an archangel in the reincarnation pool, but Lin Fei had destroyed it. Naturally, they needed someone to guard it again. In any case, those old fogies were cheap labor. Why not use them? After dealing with these matters, Lin Fei left the Radiance Church. There was nothing in the Western world that interested Lin Fei anymore. His harvest from this trip was quite good. Not only did he obtain the number 1 divine tree, but he had also recovered his body. This was beyond Lin Fei's expectations. Lin Fei took an international plane and didn't go back to China directly. He went to Southeast Asia first. His eldest disciple, Su Mei, was still in Kai Shan's manor. He had to bring her back. When Lin Fei arrived, Su Mei and Kai Shan were fighting. It had been a while since they last met. Su Mei's sword technique was even sharper. She had improved a lot during this period of time. One move after another. She was very good at seizing the time, causing Kai Shan to be in a difficult situation. Little Su, you have improved a lot during this period of time. You didn't disappoint me. Su Mei, who was fighting with Kai Shan, stopped and saw that her master had returned. Her face was filled with joy. Master, you're finally back. I missed you. Boss. Kai Shan followed. Chapter 4275. Lin Fei did not stay in Thailand for too long. He was very satisfied with the growth of his eldest disciple, Su Mei. At least during this period, Su Mei did not waste any time. She kept looking for people to fight, to train herself and improve her strength. At the same time, Lin Fei went to the entrance of the Kunlun secret realm in the mountains. The formation was not destroyed. The things he asked Kai Shan to do last time were all done. The entire mountain had been bought out. Difficult? No difficulty. With Tsai Shan's influence in Thailand, who would dare say no? Lin Fei told them what to do next. Then he brought Su Mei back to the country. In a short time, Lin Fei did not plan to go to the Kunlun secret realm again. For him, there was one more important thing, which was to go to the Divine Dragon's secret realm. As soon as he got off the Yanjing airport, Lin Fei saw the person who came to pick him up. It was none other than Yi Zixuan. Previously, Yi Zixuan had returned a step earlier than Lin Fei. This time, besides Yi Zixuan, there was also an old acquaintance. It was the god of war, Yi Xian. Young Master Lin, it must have been a long journey. Lin Fei said, "It's just a plane ride. It's not hard at all. I'm quite surprised that you came. Actually, you didn't have to come." Yi Zixuan and the god of war looked at each other. Yi Xian said, "We have nothing to do anyway. Young Master Lin, are you free? Let's sit down and have a chat." Lin Fei knew very well why the god of war came to pick him up. It was because of the divine dragon's secret realm. No, it was the last dragon key. Lin Fei already had 2 dragon god keys in his hands, which was equivalent to having 20 slots. No matter who had the 20 slots, they would be of great use to him. Fortunately, the news was still in Yi Zixuan's hands. If it spread, many people in Yanjing would come to fight for these 20 places. So no matter what, Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian had to get some of the 20 places. It would be good to get one more. Lin Fei did not agree. "I don't have time today. Let's do it the day after tomorrow. I have something to take care of." Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian had no objections. He had just mentioned it. It would be best if Lin Fei could agree. The day after tomorrow is not too late. It was fine as long as Lin Fei didn't release any information. You don't have to worry about anything. The divine dragon key will be released. I won't take it out easily. Lin Fei reassured them. Hearing this, the 2 of them were a little embarrassed, but they soon felt relieved. If these words came from Lin Fei, then there would definitely be no change. Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian sent Lin Fei to a 5-star hotel. The room was booked. "Little Sue, it's rare for you to come to Beijing. Why don't you go out for a walk? I still have some things to take care of." Actually, even if Master didn't mention it, I was also planning to go to Yanjing for a stroll. I haven't been here for a long time. I remember that the last time I came was because of business matters, Su Mei said with a sigh. In the short span of a year, she had transformed from a female designer into a female martial artist. Moreover, she was a female grandmaster. His status had also undergone a huge change. It opened a whole new door. He saw a whole new world. Su Mei dressed up and went out. Lin Fei was not idle either. He also had things to do. In the courtyard house, Lin Lang brought his wife back here again. Although he had returned to the family, he was not used to living in that place. It was not as comfortable as living in the courtyard house. Once he heard that Lin Lang was not used to living there. Lin Mayuan, the head of the family, immediately redecorated the courtyard house. It was renovated inside and out. If one looked at it from the outside, one would definitely not be able to tell. But when one went inside, one would discover a whole new world. The current Lin Mayuan did not dare to easily offend Lin Lang. Although he was the head of the family, in front of the unfathomable Lin Fei, he was nothing. On the other hand, even if Lin Lang's strength was not as good as it was in the past, with such a son, anyone would have to think twice. Even if many people in the family had thoughts, they did not dare to show it. "Who is it?" Lin Lang, who was basking in the sun, suddenly opened his eyes. He raised his hand and waved, and a teacup flew over. "You're already so old, but your temper is still very bad. No wonder you were schemed against back then." A figure walked in and grabbed the teacup with a raise of his hand. He did not even spill a drop of tea. With a light pat, the teacup flew back and landed gently on the tea table untouched. "Little Fei, why are you back?" Lin Lang stood up, looking very excited. "I just happened to pass by and came to take a look. I didn't expect you to move in again." Lin Fei looked around. Lin Mayuan still knows how to do things. At least he renovated this place. Lin Lang was indeed very excited. He did not dare to look for his son, Lin Fei, nor did he dare to call Lin Fei. Now that Lin Fei had taken the initiative to come to the courtyard house, Lin Lang was naturally very happy. Lin Mayuan can't do other things well, but when it comes to handling interpersonal relationships, he's quite good. Lin Lang said. I actually don't have much to do today. I just want to help you recover your body, such as regrowing your severed arm. Lin Fei said casually. Lin Lang was very excited. Little Fei, if it's too troublesome, then there's no need. Anyway, I'm already so old. It's not bad to take care of myself. Lin Fei walked into the house and saw his mother. She was busy making tea. Little Fei, you must be thirsty. Quick, have a cup of tea. This tea tastes pretty good. Lin Fei did not refuse and drank a few mouthfuls. Lin Lang followed him in. This trip, Lin Fei came for the two of them. On this trip, he had gained a lot of things, the most important of which was the God's water of life. This was a top-notch item. Outsiders might not be able to use it to their full potential, but it was very easy for Lin Fei. Originally, regrowing a severed arm required a lot of materials. Now that he had the God's water of life, the time was greatly reduced. Although his father Lin Lang did not seem to be interested in martial arts, but there was still a hint of loneliness in his eyes. Lin Fei did not resist as much now. This was the cause, so naturally there would be an effect. He wouldn't be staying in Yanjing for too long. He didn't know when he would come back after leaving Beijing. So he might as well help his father recover his strength. With strength, naturally, no one would dare to have any other thoughts. His prestige could only exist for a while, not for long. Lin Fei was very clear about this logic. Find a quiet room. I'll find one right away. In the room. Chapter 42-76. Lin Lang's problem was very simple. It was nothing more than a broken arm. He just needed to regrow it. Of course, there were old injuries in his body. This time it would be solved once and for all. At that time, his father's strength would be improved in one go. Lin Lang's strength was already very high in the past. Now that he had recovered, it was equivalent to breaking through and then building again. It was just the right time for him to rush to the level of guru. As for his mother, it was even simpler. Her strength could also be improved. The frost and dust on her face could also be removed. She would be reborn. These were not difficult for Lin Fei. After dealing with these things, Lin Fei left the Sihiyuan. In addition, he left a mark in front of the yard. Anyone who broke in would be killed. Other than the natural dissipation of time, no one else could unlock it. This was also for safety reasons. 3 hours later, Lin Lang was the first to open his eyes. He subconsciously propped up his body with his hands. As soon as he did so, he felt that something was wrong, because he usually used his right hand, but this time he used his left hand. My left hand has regrown again. Lin Lang looked at his moving left hand. It was exactly the same. He felt incredible and shocked. Before, he didn't want his son to work so hard. After all, regrowing a broken arm was not an easy thing. It was no less than the legendary ascension to heaven. But now he did it easily. In the next second, Lin Lang felt that something was different, because the internal qi in his body was extremely strong. This internal qi I seem to have broken through to the level of guru, and it is the peak of the level. Lin Lang was stunned again. He turned over and got off the ground. Lin Lang knew that his feeling was right. He really became a guru. Not only that, but even his lost left arm had recovered. All of this was brought by his son. Lin Lang took a breath and quickly woke up his wife next to him. But when he saw his wife's face, he was also shocked. Over the years, his wife had suffered a lot with him. Now she had been reborn. He almost couldn't recognize her. It was really a big change. If it wasn't for the familiar aura, Lin Lang wouldn't have recognized her at all. He would have thought that it was a strange woman lying next to him. When his wife woke up and saw the change in Lin Lang, they finally knew that their son, Lin Fei, had forgiven them. During this time, the two of them cried tears of joy. They had waited a long time for this day. Our son has such a heaven-defying ability. We definitely can't teach others, lest we invite trouble. You suddenly said to your wife, and she nodded her head every day, I understand. If there's nothing important, let's not go out. After leaving the Sihyuan, Lin Fei returned to the five-star hotel and closed his eyes to rest. By the time Lin Fei opened his eyes again after the divine water of life had circulated through his body, it was already dark outside. Lin Fei very much enjoyed the comfortable feeling of the divine water of life in his body. Wherever it passed, the wounds left behind would be healed. Looks like it won't be long before my body completely recovers. Lin Fei made a serving of food. He casually turned on the TV, looking at the news. His entire body was filled with a lazy aura. This was the kind of life he loved. At midnight, Lin Fei opened his eyes. He got up and walked to the French windows. Looking in one direction, he slightly frowned. I seem to have sensed a strange power just now. It happened in the north. I guess many people have also sensed it. This strange power was like the moon in the night. It was exceptionally obvious, especially for an expert like Lin Fei. He felt that it was not an ordinary power. Looks like something has happened in the north. In Lin Fei's eyes, the north should be that huge desert. Only in those places could all kinds of things happen. Thinking back, it seemed that the divine dragon secret realm was in a huge desert in the north. Or the divine dragon secret realm had opened in advance. Lin Fei felt that the possibility of this was quite high. Then someone would start to worry. As expected, in the afternoon of the second day, Yi Zishuan and the god of war specially came to visit. This was one day earlier than the appointed time. Lin Fei received them. Su Mei brought the tea over and stood behind Lin Fei. Young Master Lin, this is the news we just received. Take a look. Yi Zishuan took out a document and placed it in front of Lin Fei. Lin Fei did not look at the document. He could see it clearly with his divine consciousness. It was as he had guessed. Something had happened. A sinkhole had appeared in the northern desert. This sinkhole was huge. It was hundreds of acres in size, and the sinkhole was bottomless. If that was all, it would not matter. But there were monsters constantly running out of such a deep sinkhole. These monsters were very ugly and extremely powerful. They wreaked havoc in the surrounding area. Only when the Yan Huang battle team made a move did these monsters vanquish. Yi Zishuan and Yi Xian came as soon as they heard the news. Because this matter was not simple, Yi Xian wanted to see for himself. After all, the north was not far from Yanjing. Once the monsters from there came out, that was going to be a big problem. What do you guys think? Lin Fei asked. Yi Zishuan smiled bitterly. We still don't understand the situation. We have already had people seal off that area, but there are still monsters running out from below, and each one is stronger than the other. They are invulnerable. I suspect that this has something to do with the divine dragon's secret realm. It was very normal for Yi Zishuan to have such a thought. After all, that was the north. The divine dragon's secret realm was also in the north. The possibility of the two being the same was still very high. Young Master Lin, I think we should set off earlier to understand the situation. If it really is the divine dragon's secret realm, perhaps those people will all go there soon. Whether it was Yi Zishuan or Yi Xian, they both had the same thought. After all, Lin Fei had 2 divine dragon keys in his hands. If Lin Fei did not go, no one could enter the divine dragon's secret realm. As for using brute force, it would not work at all, because the mysterious aura on Lin Fei was getting thicker and thicker. Even Yi Zishuan could not see through him. Yi Zishuan saw with her own eyes that Lin Fei had taken the divine tree of life and even stepped on the experts of the Dark Church and Church of Light. His strength was unfathomable, like a bottomless pit. If Lin Fei went with them, then this trip would be much easier. Lin Fei also wanted to see the sinkhole now. Was it the same as the divine dragon's secret realm? He would be able to see it once he arrived. Then let's not delay. Let's go now. Chapter 4277. North, the biggest desert. A special plane slowly landed at a temporary airport. This temporary airport was located right in the middle of the desert. Sandstorms blew from time to time. The three of them got off the plane. They could feel the sandstorms coming at them. Ever since the sinkhole appeared, the climate in this area has changed, especially the sandstorms that contain a trace of power. I have arranged for people to guard the entrance of the desert and forbid anyone from entering, Yi Xian said with a serious expression. Lin Fei also felt the slight changes in the sandstorms. Of course, to martial artists like them, this slight change was nothing. But if it happened to ordinary people, they would definitely suffer. They got off the plane. A military jeep drove over. The three of them sat in it. The person driving the jeep was not an ordinary person, but a warrior in the late stage of clear strength. He took out a document from the passenger seat and handed it to Yi Xian. This is the news that just came from the sinkhole. Sir, please take a look. Yi Xian flipped it open, and his expression suddenly changed. He casually handed it to Lin Fei. The situation over there is changing very quickly. It is somewhat out of our expectations. Lin Fei took the document and opened it. There was no change in his expression, but he said, "Looks like this sinkhole is not ordinary." He then handed the document in his hand to Yi Zishuan. Could it be that the divine dragon's secret realm has opened? Yi Zishuan said after reading it. Yi Xian shook his head. This is hard to say. Logically speaking, it is impossible. The divine dragon's secret realm has always existed, but no one has ever found it. Although the divine dragon key has appeared, it has not been gathered. It is impossible to open the entrance. Lin Fei said, "If I am not wrong, this sinkhole should be related to the divine dragon's secret realm. Maybe this is the outermost level of the divine dragon's secret realm. Otherwise, how can the existence of those monsters be explained? To put it more clearly, those monsters were used to guard the divine dragon mysterious land. However, they have now broken free." Yi Xian and Yi Zishuan looked at each other and felt that it was really the case. What Lin Fei said made too much sense. "If that is really the case, then things are a little bad," Yi Zishuan said. The atmosphere in the car became oppressive. Of course, this was only for Yi Xian and Yi Zishuan. Yi Xian was the god of war of Huaxia. Naturally, he would not allow these monsters to appear. The most relaxed one was none other than Lin Fei. He was now more interested in the divine dragon arcane realm. It was a monster that could give martial artists headaches. Perhaps this divine dragon secret land was not as simple as a secret land. The jeep drove deep into the desert. Hua, hua, hua. Suddenly, a sandstorm blew up ahead. The expression of the cultivator driving the jeep changed. He shouted, "Not good. We have encountered a sandstorm. That's impossible. There was no mention of a sandstorm today." At this moment, the sky in front of them was dark and yellow sand was rolling, sweeping in their direction. In the desert, the scariest thing was to encounter a sandstorm. As long as they encountered a sandstorm, nothing good would come out of it. As soon as the driver shouted, the sandstorm in the distance came crashing down. No matter how fast the driver reacted, the entire car and the people in it were instantly swallowed up by the sandstorm. The range of the sandstorm grew larger and larger, enveloping the entire area. This caused the area to be in a gray state. In the beginning, the people outside thought that the sandstorm would soon recede. But as time passed, the sandstorm did not recede. It continued to envelop the area. No matter what equipment was used, it was impossible to see what was going on inside the sandstorm. Under a pile of sand, a figure rushed out. The oncoming sandstorm stopped, forming a vacuum zone. I miscalculated. I really miscalculated. I didn't expect the sandstorm to be so powerful. Lin Fei patted the sand on his body and frowned slightly. He underestimated the power of the sandstorm. When the sandstorm came, Lin Fei originally planned to bring Yi Zishuan and Yi Xian out. But who would have thought that the sandstorm would come crashing down and instantly tear the jeep into pieces? Lin Fei was also swept away by the turbulence in the sandstorm. This also made Lin Fei feel very awkward. The sandstorm that he looked down on actually had a secret. I wonder how Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian are doing? With their strength, they shouldn't suffer too much. When the time comes, this area seems to be enveloped by this sandstorm. Lin Fei looked up and couldn't see the sun at all. His vision became incomparably dark. There was only the sound of the sandstorm in his ears. The formation of this sandstorm should be related to the sinkhole. Otherwise, the sandstorm wouldn't have its current power. Lin Fei's figure moved, and his entire body rose into the air. He was ready to see what the situation was like up there. When he was about to reach the top, he encountered a barrier that blocked Lin Fei's way. Lin Fei raised his hand and slapped on the barrier. He didn't believe that this barrier could be stronger than him. With a loud rumbling sound, it crushed down. But an accident happened. Lin Fei's power fell on the barrier, but it was dispersed by the barrier. It was boundless, and he couldn't break this barrier. Lin Fei's expression changed slightly. He raised his hand and slapped a few times. The strength of each slap was increasing, but the barrier dispersed his power again and again. It made Lin Fei's power unable to gather at one point. Naturally, without power, how could he break the barrier? Interesting, really interesting. There's actually such a barrier. It seems like this sandstorm is indeed not ordinary. Someone set it up. That sinkhole is closely related to the divine dragon's secret realm. Lin Fei landed on the desert again. It would be a little difficult to break it from here. Of course, Lin Fei could break it, but it would cause too much of a commotion. At least for now, Lin Fei didn't want to do that. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The moment Lin Fei landed, dozens of black shadows shot out from the originally calm sand. Each of these black shadows was as thick as an arm. They were actually scorpions, gleaming with a cold light. The tail of the steel mace stabbed at Lin Fei directly. Lin Fei waved his hand and sent the scorpions flying. After the scorpions landed, they all burrowed into the sand and disappeared in the blink of an eye. What a tough shell! It can even withstand the force of my swing. This must be a monster that escaped from the sinkhole. This sinkhole is much more interesting than I thought. If even this monster had such a defense, one could only imagine how strong it was. Chapter 4278. The sandstorm enveloped the largest desert in the north. At first, some people went in to explore. They wanted to figure out what was going on, because they had lost contact with the people near the sinkhole. However, there was no news from these people after they went in. It was the same after several groups of people went in. This time, no one dared to go in casually. Everyone realized that there was great danger and terror in the sandstorm, and they could die in there if they were not careful. The only fortunate thing was that the sandstorm did not continue to spread, and those monsters seemed to be enveloped by the sandstorm and did not run out at all. This also made everyone breathe a long sigh of relief. If those monsters ran out, they would not be able to stop them at all. They had all seen how powerful these monsters were. They might be fine if they encountered them alone, but once they were in a group, they would be drowned by these monsters in an instant. By then, all that would be left was a corpse. The worst-case scenario had appeared. Yi Xian was also trapped inside, and no one knew whether he was dead or alive. This news caused an uproar in the martial arts circle. At the beginning of the change in the north, the martial arts circle did not pay much attention to it. However, with the outbreak of this sandstorm, everyone realized one thing. There was a huge change in the northern desert, and at the same time the news about the sinkhole spread. This made everyone realize that maybe the sinkhole had something to do with the divine dragon's secret realm. In a short time, many martial arts masters appeared at the periphery of the sandstorm. Tents were also being set up one by one. However, no one dared to go in casually. They might have a chance to go in when the sandstorm ended. Everyone wanted to go in and try their luck. Now, the news that the sinkhole and the divine dragon's secret realm were one had caused an uproar. Everyone thought that these two places should be the same place. Otherwise, there would not be such a change in the appearance of those monsters. At the same time, two figures quickly approached the area of the sandstorm. These two people were dressed casually. They stopped a few meters away from the sandstorm. What an incredible sandstorm that covered such a large desert. Even in our Kunlun secret realm, there is no such thing. The one who spoke was a middle-aged man. He was shining brightly and carried a knife on his back. Without a doubt, he was a swordsman. It is indeed very unusual and unbelievable. This further proves that the divine dragon's secret ground is inside this sandstorm. Since the two of us have arrived so quickly, we'll be the first to get there. Let's take all the treasures inside before we do anything else. The other person also had a long saber on his back, and his entire body was flowing with a valiant aura. Let's go. The two of them did not stop and directly rushed into the sandstorm. The sandstorm was shredded into pieces before it could even get close to them. It turned out that there was an energy barrier around the two of them. The energy shield was not ordinary. It was formed by saber intent. The saber intent protection was a top-notch defense. Similar scenes continued to appear outside the sandstorms around them. Such an unbelievable scene not only shocked the martial Dao Circle, but it also shocked all the forces in the Kunlun Mystery Land. The Divine Dragon Arcane Land had always been a rumor, even though they had yet to see the real Divine Dragon Arcane Realm. The appearance of the sandstorm was enough to shock everyone. This made everyone understand one thing. This sandstorm must have something to do with the Divine Dragon Arcane Realm. If he was lucky, he might even be able to take advantage of it. As the saying went, fortune is found in danger. If one did not take risks, how could one seek fortune? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Rays of sword aura pierced through a large number of scorpions. It was not the first or second time that he had encountered such a large number of scorpions. The further he went in, the more monsters there were. Among them, the arm-sized scorpions were the most numerous. They were in groups and looked mighty. These scorpions contained poison. The poison was very overbearing and could paralyze the nerves. Along the way, Lin Fei had already seen a lot of dead bodies. They had all suffered before. Other than that, the sandstorm seemed to be divided into several areas. For example, the area that Lin Fei was in was shrouded in a faint black fog, which added to the oppressive atmosphere. Lin Fei casually killed these poisonous scorpions and continued to move forward. He could already confirm that the sandstorm was actually a huge restriction. Perhaps only the owner of the Divine Dragon Secret Realm would be able to set up such a trick. After confirming that it was a restriction, Lin Fei smiled. If it was something else, it might be difficult. If it was a restriction, it would be a piece of cake. Lin Fei would not be fooled by other things. He chose the right direction and moved forward. He was getting closer and closer to the sinkhole. Whoosh! A figure appeared in front of him. Without any explanation, he attacked with his spear. The speed of the black figure's spear was extremely fast. One spear after another, the sky was filled with spear radiance. A Xiantian realm expert. What a big move. Is this for the test? Lin Fei used his finger as a sword to break all methods. The black shadow in front of him was cut open by his sword. The black fog dispersed and disappeared. The sky was filled with spear radiance as well. The scene was restored to peace. Lin Fei continued to move forward. There were more and more corpses on the ground. They were all the corpses of martial artists. The martial artists at the sinkhole must have been in trouble. The martial arts circle will probably lose a lot of people this time. Lin Fei shook his head. He was already used to the scene. Lin Fei was curious why the master of the Divine Dragon Mysterious Land would create such a huge restriction. Could it be that he was looking for an inheritor? Lin Fei had experienced a lot of restrictions like this. It was normal that this was the first thought that popped up in his mind. After all, this restriction was so huge. This was not something that just anyone could do. One had to be rich and powerful. One could only do it if he had a solid foundation. If it was not to select an inheritor, then what was it? He could not possibly be looking for a guardian, right? Lin Fei passed through several separate areas in a row. In each area, there would be a special, condensed figure. However, the strength of these special figures was average. They were only at the innate level. It was obvious that it was impossible to break through without reaching the innate level. Saintess Yi, it's been a long time since we last met. You have nowhere to run this time. Be a good girl and let me suck your blood dry so that I can reach the sky in a single bound. All of a sudden, a sinister voice came from all directions. The coldness in the voice could be felt from afar. You people from the demonic sects are really shameless. How dare you violate the treaty and enter the secular world? Aren't you afraid of being besieged by the five forces? A roar of anger could be heard. Chapter 42:79. Yi Zixuan felt that she was really unlucky. She managed to drag Lin Fei to the northern desert with much difficulty and encountered a strange sandstorm. She was unable to resist it all and was sucked in by the sandstorm. If not for Yi Xian helping her at the crucial moment, she wouldn't even know what was going on. When Yi Zixuan woke up, she was trapped in the sandstorm. She encountered all kinds of dangers and finally resolved them. But she suddenly encountered the demonic forces in the Kunlun secret realm and was chased by them. If it was somewhere else, she might be able to hide. But in this sandstorm, danger lurked everywhere. Coupled with the pursuers, Yi Zixuan's injuries worsened. She was at the end of her rope. The five experts that were chasing Yi Zixuan were all in the innate realm. The leader was a short man with a cold aura all over his body. Yi Zixuan knew that this person was an expert on the wanted list. His name was Luo Yi. He did all kinds of evil. He specialized in taking action against those rich young ladies and sucking their primordial yin to increase his strength. As for the rich young ladies who had their primordial yin taken away, their final outcome was very miserable. Yi Zixuan was calling for help from the heavens, but the heavens and the earth didn't respond. Was she really going to fall into the hands of these people? For some reason, Yi Zixuan thought of Lin Fei at this time. Last time, when they encountered danger, it was Lin Fei who helped them resolve it. Moreover, he easily defeated the experts of Dark Church and Light Church, deterred them in one fell swoop, and calmly took away the God Tree of Life. Yi Zixuan had never forgotten this scene. But this time Yi Zixuan felt that it was impossible for her to have that kind of opportunity. Saintess Yi, you should just accept your fate. For the sake of you being a saintess, if you serve me well, I might spare your life, Luo Yi said with a smile. The experts behind Luo Yi also laughed. That's right, your resistance is useless. You might as well follow our boss. Our boss is quite powerful. I guarantee that you will experience a different feeling. Yi Zixuan glared at him. Luo Yi, you are a street rat that everyone wants to kill. Even if I, Yi Zixuan, risk my life, I will not let you succeed. Come over if you have the ability. Yi Zixuan held her sword horizontally in front of her. In the end, you will only get a corpse. His tone was firm. Luo Yi said, so what? Even if I get the corpse, I can still refine you. Don't forget that I'm from a demonic sect. Refining puppets is what we're best at. Yi Zixuan's expression darkened again. He really forgot that the Devil Path sects are most proficient in refining corpses. Then I'll fight it out with you right now. Yi Zixuan panicked, dragging her injuries to attack. Luo Yi and the others had a smug look in their eyes. Silly women were so gullible. If they attacked, they might even get a corpse. However, if Saini fought back, the situation would be completely different. They could capture Saintess Yi alive. Silly woman, you're a saintess in vain. You're so easily provoked by others. A faint voice suddenly sounded. His words fell into the ears of the five people. Luo Ye's expression changed. Who is it? With a wave of his hand, several black shadows shot out. It turned out that Luo Yi had a hidden weapon in his hand. This wasn't an ordinary hidden weapon. It was a hidden weapon that could kill an innate realm expert. It was smeared with poison and could kill an innate realm expert in a single move. With this hidden weapon, Luo Yi had killed countless experts. If he didn't have a use for Yi Zixuan, he would have used this hidden weapon long ago. After Luo Yi shot out the hidden weapon, his body suddenly turned cold. Subconsciously, he curled his body and rolled out like a ball. On the contrary, the 4 experts standing beside him suddenly groaned and fell to the ground. There was a hidden weapon in between their eyebrows. It was the hidden weapon that Luo Yi shot out. Oh no! I met an expert who easily broke my hidden weapon. I'm definitely not his match. Retreat immediately. Luo Yi kept breaking out in cold sweat. Those were 4 innate realm experts. They weren't as strong as him, but they were still innate realm experts. However, they were killed by his hidden weapon in a single move. The person who came was definitely stronger than him. If he didn't run, he would be killed. Swish, swish, swish. Luo Yi kept shooting hidden weapons around him. He retreated. As long as he rushed into the area in front, he would naturally be able to shake off the experts behind him with the help of the sandstorm. Luo Yi didn't believe that the other party could dodge his hidden weapon. Ah! There was a scream. Luo Yi fell to the ground. In his vision, his 2 legs had left him and he had lost both of his legs. A hand reached out and grabbed Luo Yi's neck, lifting him up like a dead dog. Why are you running? You still have your legs if you don't run. But you've become a cripple. What a pity. Luo Yi turned his head with difficulty and saw a young figure. It was also an unfamiliar figure. You destroyed my legs. I'll kill you. Luo Yi went crazy. He opened his mouth and wanted to spit out a hidden weapon. In the end, he spat out a mouthful of blood and couldn't muster any strength. Everyone has the right to kill demonic experts. Do you think I'll give you a chance to attack? Lin Fei carried Luo Yi to Yi Zixuan. He casually tossed Luo Yi onto the sand. Last time I saved your life. This time, I saved your life again. How do you think you should thank me? Lin Fei teased. That's right. Yi Zixuan felt like she had survived a calamity. Calm down. She finally realized that she had been tricked. A sword stabbed into Luo Yi's body. Luo Yi, you have such a day. Yi Zixuan was filled with rage. Yi Zixuan, quickly stop. If you do this, I will die. Quickly stop. Yi Zixuan stabbed sword after sword into Luo Yi's body. Luo Yi, who was initially ferocious, became terrified after eating more than 10 swords. His body was covered in bloody holes, and fresh blood flowed out. Luo Yi felt despair and fear. She was just a crazy woman. He had no choice but to beg. I want to kill you because I am a woman. Yi Zixuan stabbed into Luo Yi's body once more, causing him to cry out in pain. But don't worry. Although I want to kill you, it will be too easy on you. Do you see those scorpions? I think they will really like you. Luo Yi couldn't move at all. He looked into the distance, and many scorpions appeared in the desert. These scorpions seemed to have smelled blood and were slowly heading towards him. Luo Yi was scared out of his wits, and his hair stood on end. Saint, please let me go. Don't let those things eat me. As long as you let me go, I will tell you a huge secret. Chapter 4280. Lin Fei did not say a word from start to finish, nor did he stop Yi Zixuan. Lin Fei could feel an evil aura from Luo Yi. It was obvious that he had done many evil things in his daily life. After all, he was from a demonic sect, and everyone wanted to kill him. He was no different from a street rat. Moreover, Yi Zixuan was burning with anger. After being chased by these people for so long and nearly losing her life, she naturally had to vent her anger. Luo Yi could only say that his luck was bad. He could offend anyone but a woman. If a woman was ruthless, she would be very terrifying. What big secret can you have? You are just lying to me. You want to live a little longer, right? Yi Zixuan felt much better. She stabbed Luo Yi again, and fresh blood flowed out. dyeing the surrounding sand red. On the other hand, the poisonous scorpions were getting closer. The more it was like this, the more Luo felt his scalp go numb. Although he was a demonic expert, it did not mean that he liked these poisonous creatures. He did not use poisonous creatures to cultivate. When he thought about the poisonous scorpions surrounding him, drilling into his body and eating his flesh, Luo could not remain calm. But he just couldn't move. His hand was broken, and the power in his body was messed up. Right now, he was even weaker than an ordinary person, especially in the sandstorm. His life was no longer his own, and all of this was done by this young man. Luo could not feel any aura, but he easily made a Xiantian expert suffer. If he knew that there was an expert nearby, he would not have chased them even if he was beaten to death. He was reaping what he had sown. Don't kill him first. Let's hear what he has to say. Since he is a demonic expert from the Kunlun secret realm, he must know a lot of information. Lin Fei said, stopping Yi Zixuan from continuing. Luo Yi, you won't be able to last much longer. Luo Yi heaved a sigh of relief. As long as she did not continue stabbing him, he could at least live a little longer. That's right. We demonic cultivators do have some secrets, and I happen to know a big secret about the divine dragon's secret ground. As long as you two let me go, I'll tell you this big secret. I can guarantee that the number of people who know about this secret can be counted on one hand. Yi Zixuan raised her hand and stabbed Luo Yi again. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Hurry up and tell me. If you're too slow, I'll stab you with my sword. You can still hold on for a while. Don't stab. Don't stab. I'll tell you right away. Luo Yi was completely terrified. This was really a crazy woman. Luo Yi would rather die in the hands of someone else. Torturing himself like this was too painful and filled with despair. The upper echelons of our demonic Tao have received a shocking piece of news. It's said that there's an ancient tomb in the divine dragon's secret realm. In the ancient tomb, there's an ancestor of the Kunlun secret realm sealed within. It's said that he's not truly dead. Yi Zixuan immediately stabbed him with her sword. That's impossible. Those ancestors of the Kunlun secret realm have long died. It's impossible for them to be alive. You're lying to me. Luo Yi begged for mercy. Saintess Yi, it's true. There's indeed an ancestor in the divine dragon's secret realm. He's sealed with a supreme treasure. This time, we demonic cultivators have sent out quite a number of people to enter the divine dragon's secret realm. From there, we can open this treasure and seize the power seal left behind by the ancestor, unifying the entire Kunlun secret realm. I also know that other than us demonic cultivators, there are 5 other major powers. This news has never been spread, and only those at the peak know about it. I only found out about it from the upper echelons of the demonic Tao by chance. This news is absolutely true. If I'm wrong, may the heavens strike me with lightning. Yi Zixuan did not continue. Your Kunlun secret realm seems to be rather complicated. Lin Fei said. Yi Zixuan laughed bitterly. The powers in the Kunlun secret realm are indeed rather complicated. If what he said is true, then this divine dragon secret realm will not be that simple. It might even cause a bloody storm. Who knows? The sandstorm might even be left behind by that ancestor. Such a huge commotion. Ordinary people really wouldn't be able to create it. Can you tell me about the ancestor? I'm rather curious. Although Yi Zixuan was a little puzzled, she still explained. A long time ago, there were 5 ancestors in the Kunlun secret realm. They created the Kunlun secret realm, but later on, due to various reasons, the 5 ancestors didn't get along and fell one after another. Until now, the legend of the 5 ancestors has been passed down. If this matter is true, then I really don't dare to imagine it. Lin Fei finally had a rough idea of the situation. So it was an old antique. Lin Fei still believed that this old antique must have obtained some kind of secret technique and sealed himself. The possibility was very high. At the start, Lin Fei was still curious about who created this sandstorm. At first, he thought it was the owner of the divine dragon's secret realm, but now it seemed like it might be an ancestor. Let's go. Ignore this guy and let him fend for himself. Yi Zixuan, who had consumed a healing pill, had actually recovered quite a bit. She coldly snorted and ignored Luo Yi. Luo Ye's entire body skipped a beat. His scalp went numb. Holy Maiden, please take me away. If you leave me here, then I'm dead for sure. Yi Zixuan turned her head and said, "This is what you said. You wanted us to let you live. Now I've already let you live. As for how you live on, that's your own problem. It's already very good that I didn't kill you." Luo Ye's entire face turned pale. He knew that his retribution had come. Lin Fei and Yi Zixuan left this region. They heard all sorts of curses and screams from Luo Yi. It lasted for a long time before it went silent. "You're really ruthless. You left him there, just like that. If it was someone else, it would be fine. But he's a demonic expert and likes to target rich ladies. He's done all sorts of evil. This is called getting what he deserves." Yi Zixuan said, "I still have to thank you. You did me a big favor again. How about I repay you with my body?" Yi Zixuan was indeed very grateful to Lin Fei. Without him, she wouldn't be where she was now. Not to mention killing Luo Yi, who had committed all sorts of evil, to avenge the women who had died. "Forget about repaying me with your body. I'm afraid that those admirers of yours will carry knives and chase after me for thousands of miles," Lin Fei said jokingly. Yi Zixuan was amused and didn't talk about this topic anymore. "Young Master Lin, did you meet Yi Xian on the way here? I'm worried that something might have happened to him." Chapter 4281. With Lin Fei's help, the journey became much smoother. The area of the sandstorm was very large. Even when they came, Yi Zixuan had some understanding. But walking in this sandstorm area, she still felt a huge change. Luckily, with Lin Fei, Yi Zixuan wasn't so afraid. "We have already walked for 3 days. Why haven't we reached the crater? Did we go in the wrong direction?" Yi Zixuan stopped and observed the surroundings. But other than yellow sand, there was only yellow sand. There wasn't even a place to distinguish. Yi Zixuan couldn't help but suspect. Did they go the wrong way? We didn't go the wrong way. Lin Fei has been paying attention to the situation at all times. Going the wrong way wouldn't happen at all. Lin Fei casually sent out a sword energy and killed a monster that jumped out. Since yesterday, underground creatures kept rushing out from this desert. These underground creatures were similar to rats, but they were bigger, like puppies. They had sharp teeth that were extremely sharp and were very agile. They weren't easy to deal with. In front of Lin Fei's eyes, each slash was a kill. There was no way to escape. Hearing that they didn't go the wrong way, Yi Zixuan heaved a sigh of relief. She was afraid that they would go the wrong way. She also realized that this desert wasn't like before. Not only were there monsters, but there were also experts from all sides. It might be okay if they met a righteous sect, but if they met a demonic expert, then it would be a headache. They would be chased all the way like her, and were nearly captured by a demonic expert. The consequences would be unimaginable. They walked for quite a distance. Corpses of monsters started to appear on the ground. These corpses were all over the place, and there were many types of corpses. The corpses are still warm, so they shouldn't have died for long. Someone should be ahead of us. Yi Zixuan checked and said, "There is no need to check. They should not be far ahead of us. I heard the sounds of them fighting." Yi Zixuan looked forward. Apart from yellow sand, there was only yellow sand. She didn't notice anything at all. However, she knew that Lin Fei was stronger than her. If he said that there were sounds of fighting, then there definitely was. The two of them sped up. As expected, there was a fight in front of them. More than 10 people from both sides fought together. Sand and stones flew everywhere. It was extremely dangerous. Yi Zishuan took a closer look and said excitedly, "It's Yi Xian, he's inside." Yi Xian was indeed among those who were fighting. Together with one party, they were besieging another. Lin Fei didn't make a move. He first observed his surroundings. His gaze fell on a pillar not far away. A pillar suddenly appeared on the yellow sand. This pillar was covered with mysterious runes and was filled with a mysterious aura. It would have been fine if there was only one pillar, but there was a treasure on this pillar. Clearly, these people were fighting over the treasure on the pillar. This seems to be the divine dragon pillar. I've seen it in the books. Yi Zishuan suddenly said. She was overjoyed. I finally know why they are fighting. Dragon God pillar? They really did look alike. Lin Fei didn't notice it when he opened the book. Looking at the pillar again, it was curved upwards in the shape of a dragon. There really was something in the mouth of the dragon's head. Get lost. The things in this divine dragon pillar are ours. In a short period of time, the two sides distanced themselves from each other. One side was battered and exhausted, while the other side seemed overbearing. The defeated side happened to have Yi Xian in it. At this moment, Yi Xian also noticed the appearance of Yi Zishuan and Lin Fei. Joy flashed across his face, and then he seemed to remember something. Zishuan, leave quickly! Yi Xian shouted. They are from the Void Gate. They are from the Void Gate? Yi Zishuan seemed to have thought of something. Lin Fei, leave quickly! They are from the Void Gate. These guys are not to be trifled with. Wherever they appear, they won't leave anyone alive. We must kill them. Lin Fei saw fear in Yi Zishuan's eyes. It's too late. If they know that we are from the Void Gate, then there's no need for them to live. Two figures rushed towards Yi Zishuan and Lin Fei at an extremely fast speed. The person at the very front slashed out sand that filled the sky. These sand contained traces of power, and its power was extraordinary. If they were not careful, they would be killed by surprise. Void Gate, how arrogant. Just some tricks from the Void Gate. They don't even have the slightest bit of knowledge, and they still have the cheek to say that they are from the Void Gate. Lin Fei snorted lightly. With a wave of his hand, a ray of sword light slashed through the two of them, instantly killing them and causing them to fall on the desert. Yi Zishuan was stunned. They were all from the Void Sect. Within the Kunlun secret realm, they were one of the most frightening existences. That was because they were the most proficient in assassinations. Hence, they were also known as the #1 assassin organization. Countless experts had died under their assassination. The leader of the Void Gate was a middle-aged man. He was dressed in night clothes, and only his cold eyes could be seen. How dare you kill people from our Void Gate? All the more reason why I can't let you go today. Let's kill these people first. I will personally deal with this brat. Yi Xian's side was also quite surprised. After all, this young man was very young, but his strength seemed to be quite strong. He killed 2 experts from the Void Gate the moment he came up. Brother Yi, who is that brat? He killed people from the Void Gate, just like that. Isn't he afraid of revenge? The one who asked Yi Xian was a tall and sturdy man. Yi Xian said, he is someone from the secular world. He is very mysterious. Even now, I can't see through him. Every time I see him, I am pleasantly surprised. Even you don't know his bottom line. The tall and sturdy man was also a little surprised. He knew that Yi Xian was a man of his word. Since he said he didn't know, then he definitely didn't know. For a moment, he was curious. In just a few words, the people from the Void Gate charged over. Their blade techniques were sharp, and they even had a trace of the Void Gate's techniques. When they were fighting, they would often be at a disadvantage if they were not careful. A blade that was clearly moving forward would deviate, and it could easily take someone's life. And this was how powerful their techniques were. No wonder Yi Xian and the others were not a match for them. Even though everyone's cultivation level was similar, the opponent's blade techniques were stronger than theirs, and they could directly take them down. The middle-aged man who was the leader took large strides over. Similarly, a blade slashed over. Yellow sand filled the sky, and its power was even greater. Yi Zixuan wanted to go up and fight, but she was pulled back by Lin Fei. You can't block this blade. A long blade instantly slashed out from the yellow sand. It was truly untraceable, and in an instant more than 10 blades exploded. Yi Zixuan was also frightened by this blade. She couldn't block the sharp blade intent at all, and it was as if she was going to be split apart in an instant. Lin Fei stomped his foot, and the sword intent blocked in front of him like flowing water. The Void Gates techniques are quite powerful. One blade turned into more than 10 blades, and it doesn't leave a trace. You are indeed an expert, but it's a pity that you found the wrong opponent. Lin Fei raised his hand, and the sword rain fell. Apex. Chapter 4282. The rain of swords filled the sky. The person who made the move was instantly filled with great fear and terror. The yellow sand in front of him was torn apart in an instant. His swordsmanship changed to protect in front of his body. A stream of light appeared in front of him, but it was still too late. The sword light flew past and pierced through his body countless times. His entire body collapsed on the ground. Blood flowed down from his body drop by drop. The people who were standing with Yi Xian gasped at the first moment. That was an expert from the Void Sect. He was killed in one move. This strength was a little too strong. Which sect are you from? That person didn't die completely. He stared straight ahead. He couldn't believe that he had lost just like that. It was impossible for such an expert to appear. Anyway, you don't have the right to know. Another rain of swords flew over, piercing through the space between the other party's eyebrows. The other party fell head first into the desert. Run! When the remaining people from the Void Sect saw this scene, they were scared out of their wits. They turned around and ran. When they turned around, the rain of swords came again and pierced through their bodies. One by one, they fell to the ground. I'm quite interested in the thing on the divine dragon pillar. I think no one has any objections. Lin Fei smiled faintly. How could those people have any objections? They didn't have any objections at all. It was because the opponent's strength was too tyrannical. He killed the people from the Void Sect, just like that. The experts that they couldn't defeat after persisting for so long were all killed just like that. It was like a dream. Lin Fei stepped into the air and easily arrived beside the divine dragon pillar. He reached out and took the thing from the dragon's head. Yi Zixuan didn't know why Lin Fei did that, but she didn't ask. She believed that he had his reasons. Lin Fei was indeed interested in the thing on the divine dragon pillar. That was why he said that. Moreover, if he didn't say anything, these people didn't have the right to take the thing on the divine dragon pillar, because here the strong were respected. It was that simple and direct. Young Master Lin, is this the thing inside the Shen Nong pillar? Yi Zixuan looked at it curiously. Lin Fei said, the things inside are not ordinary. They will definitely surprise you. You won't be able to keep such things. Instead, it's safest in my hands. Everyone had a question in their hearts. What exactly was that thing? Lin Fei opened his palm and a seal appeared. However, this seal was only a fragment and was not complete. But it was this fragment that made everyone feel a sense of suffocation. The middle-aged man standing next to Yi Xian seemed to be knowledgeable. He took a deep breath. Could this be a fragment of a magic weapon? Fragments of magical equipment? Everyone was confused. They had never heard of such a thing before. You do have some eyesight. You can actually recognize the magic treasure fragments, said Lin Fei with a smile. The middle-aged man smiled bitterly. This is just my guess. I can't guarantee it. If it's really a magic treasure fragment, then we really shouldn't have it. Whoever has it is equivalent to picking up a big trouble. Who knows when they will be destroyed? It's good that you have such self-awareness. This is indeed a magic treasure fragment. According to my estimation, this magic treasure fragment should be divided into 10 pieces, scattered in the divine dragon pillar. If you gather these 10 fragments, you can refine a magic treasure, and your strength will increase sharply. If I'm not wrong, these 10 fragments can be refined into a fragment of the overturning heaven seal. Of course, this overturning heaven seal is not the ancient overturning heaven seal, it's just an imitation. Yi Zixian exclaimed. Doesn't this mean that it's the same as the ancient overturning heaven seal? How can there be such a thing? There's nothing strange about this. This place is far more mysterious than you think. Now that we've dealt with the people from the Void sect, we can continue on our way. I believe that the sinkhole should be very lively. Everyone felt a lot of pressure. Even a magic treasure had appeared. If they continued to take risks, wouldn't their lives be in danger? Once they encountered a fierce person, they would suffer a big loss. If they were to encounter other forces inside, they couldn't guarantee that they would be able to walk out alive. For a moment, they didn't know what to do. Lin Fei himself was also quite surprised that he actually found a magic treasure fragment here. Although this magic treasure was just an imitation of a magic treasure, its power was estimated to be less than 10% of the Fanteon Seal's power. But in this place, its power was extremely great. Just like the power of the small fragment of the Fanteon Seal in his hand, it could easily kill a Sciention expert. Yes, this was the power of a magic treasure fragment. Lin Fei naturally didn't care about these magic treasure fragments, but didn't mean that some people didn't care. Young Master Lin, according to what you said, could it be that there are still complete magic treasures in this divine dragon's secret realm? Yi Zixian caught up and asked. Yi Xian also caught up and pricked up his ears at the same time. Lin Fei's words opened his eyes. It turned out that this divine dragon's secret realm was so extraordinary. We'll have to see what kind of good items the primogenitor left behind. If there's a lot of good items, there might be magic treasures or something like that. No wonder people from the 5 major forces in the Kunlun secret realm came out. No one wants to miss this opportunity. Yi Zixian took a deep breath. According to what you said, a magic treasure is very powerful. Can it really let people reach the sky in a single step? Yi Zixian more or less heard about magic treasures, but she had never been so close to it. How should I say it? If a magic treasure is powerful, it can indeed increase one's strength by a lot. At least if I have a magic treasure in my hand, I'm basically unmatched in the same realm. Yi Xian continued. I also heard that some big shots in the Kunlun secret realm have a magic treasure, but there are too few magic treasures, especially those that are mainly used for attacking. Lin Fei only briefly mentioned about magic treasures and didn't say anything else. The sandstorm shrouded the northern desert. At this moment, it seemed more interesting to Lin Fei. At the place where Gao Shusho of the Gate of Void died, a group of people flashed out. They were actually using the earth escape technique. One by one, they walked under the yellow sand. Elder Gao is dead. He was killed in one blow. What a strong sword will. Could it be a sword expert from the 5 major forces? A man in a black cloak stood in front of a corpse. His expression was solemn, but there was a hint of coldness. Could it be an expert from the Heavenly Rapier sect? Only an expert from the Heavenly Rapier sect can have such a sword will. They must have eaten a leopard's guts. Did they really think that the #1 assassin organization was a pushover? Since they dared to kill people from the Gate of Void, then don't blame me. Merciless. Book House Reading Website. Chapter 40, 283. The sandstorm shrouded another area. Some people took away the things inside the divine dragon pillar. There were not many people in this group, only 5. After opening the things, their expressions lit up. We really did not come to the wrong place. Back then, the primogenitor did indeed leave behind a magic treasure. Although it is only a fragment, if we can collect the remaining fragments, we will be able to forge a complete magic treasure. If we are lucky, we will be able to obtain an offensive magic treasure, and our strength will skyrocket. These people carefully put away the treasure fragments and turned to enter the sandstorm. And similar scenes kept happening. The things inside the divine dragon pillar were taken away one by one. Lin Fei and the others walked for another day. The number of monster corpses on the ground began to increase. The air was filled with a trace of the smell of blood. It seems like the sinkhole is not far away. Yi Xian had been here once, so he could roughly remember the landscape. Later on, all of you follow behind me and don't wander around. The sinkhole is much more dangerous than you think. Swoosh! A large amount of yellow sand flew over. Like a sky curtain, it covered the sky and covered the sun. It was unknown when they had hidden under the yellow sand. There were quite a number of these monsters. They let out a long roar, and the long black barbs on their backs all flew over in an instant. It was densely packed, like a stream of light. It was terrifying. I didn't expect there to be such things. Lin Fei laughed, and the sword was blocked in front of him. Then, like a stream of water, it fiercely attacked. These monsters were killed one by one. Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian were terrified. They did not notice the existence of the monsters under the yellow sand at all. If it was really them, they would have been turned into ashes in an instant. They could not stop the attacks of these monsters at all. They had already encountered several waves of attacks like this. This wave was stronger than the ones inside. Could it be that this place is controlled by monsters? We have encountered many dangers along the way. Yi Zixuan said, "You can understand it that way." Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian were even more grateful to Lin Fei. If not for Lin Fei, they would not have been able to persist until here. You guys follow closely. Lin Fei walked forward. They walked for another 4 hours. The gray flying sand and pebbles in front of them suddenly disappeared. A huge sinkhole appeared. This sinkhole was enormous. What was even more frightening was that the crater was surrounded by monsters of all sizes. These monsters coexisted peacefully, constantly patrolling the vicinity of the sinkhole. It seemed to be exceptionally peaceful. But if you really think so, then you are gravely mistaken. In the territory patrolled by these monsters, only white bones were left of the corpses. Although it wasn't a mountain of white bones, the white bones that were scattered all over the place still made people suck in a breath of cold air. These should be the martial artists from before. What caught everyone's attention was that there were 10 monsters that were especially tall among the patrolling monsters. They sat cross-legged at a high place like kings, emitting a dangerous aura. Just like that, it divided the sinkhole into 10 small areas, as if it was a territory. Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian both held their breaths, afraid that they would be detected by these monsters. When faced with these monsters, probably no one would have the confidence to escape their pursuit. How did it become like this? There are too many monsters here. I took a look. There are at least a few thousand monsters. Yi Xian took a deep breath. This is completely different from what the information said. Yi Xian thought that he was strong, but when faced with these guys, he was overshadowed. That's why I told you to follow behind me. Don't wander around, because once you wander around, you might be torn to pieces by these monsters. Yi Zixuan subconsciously hid beside Lin Fei, as if only by doing so could she feel at ease. Yi Zixuan, you're a saintess, and you're actually afraid of these monsters. Then I'm going to laugh at you. Lin Fei teased. I'm a woman, so it's normal for me to be afraid of monsters. I'm not like you guys who aren't afraid of anything. Even in the Kunlun secret realm, I've never seen so many densely packed monsters. Yi Zixuan didn't dare to raise her head. Young Master Lin, then what do we do now? There are too many monsters in front. I took a look, and there's no way to go down into the crater. Yi Xian also felt a headache. Lin Fei extended his finger and pointed at a place not far away. See there, there's a gap. If I'm not mistaken, that's where we go down. If you look carefully, you can see that there are a total of 10 gaps like this. In other words, These 10 gaps are all entrances, and the monsters outside are the first round of the small test. Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian looked over with rapt attention. This time they really saw the gap. The gap was very inconspicuous because it was blocked by those monsters. They couldn't help but admire Lin Fei's eyesight. He could see it so clearly. If it were them, they probably would have missed the opportunity. Could this crater really be connected to the divine dragon's secret realm? This time, the two of them were a little confused again, half believing and half doubting. One side had hope, the other side didn't. It was a very contradictory feeling. Even if they saw the gap, they still felt a huge pressure. Not to mention those monsters patrolling everywhere. Just the huge monster alone made them feel a palpitating aura. They were afraid that they would be sent flying by this huge monster in one face-to-face encounter. Rest for a while. I'll bring you down later. Remember, you must follow me. I'm not joking. These monsters and the huge monster looked extremely dangerous, but Lin Fei didn't think much of it. He was even more interested in the ancestor below. Using a treasure fragment as bait was really not something an ordinary person could do. It also made countless people impulsive. Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian both closed their eyes to rest. They all knew that Lin Fei wasn't joking. If they wanted to go down from the gap later, they would really have to risk their lives. For some reason, after seeing Lin Fei, the two of them didn't seem to be so flustered and afraid. Yi Zixuan had experienced it along the way. As for Yi Xian's words, she could more or less see it. If not for Lin Fei's words, they wouldn't have dared to rush down even if they were beaten to death. Look, there seems to be someone starting to rush down there. The crater was very big. At the end of their vision, which was opposite them, there was a group of people fighting with the monsters. A fire dragon roared, and the air was filled with a burning smell. In an instant, countless monsters were killed. They seemed to be people from the Technique faction. They are also the only ones with different eyesight among the 5 major forces. Yi Zixuan recognized them. This fire dragon is indeed pretty good. It's a pity that it only looks good. Otherwise, the high temperature of the fire dragon would be able to easily kill these monsters. You know that too. I heard that it's a secret of the Technique faction. Chapter 4284. The appearance of this group of people showed that they were quite strong. Spells were cast one after another, attacking the monsters. Very quickly, they attracted the huge monster. It was a 4-legged toad. This 4-legged toad was very big, like a small mountain, and its entire body was black. As the giant toad moved, everyone could feel an overpowering stench permeating the air. It was enough to make people dizzy. Even Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian, who were far away, could feel the changes. Their expressions changed slightly. This dizzying feeling was very uncomfortable. They are unlucky to have encountered an extremely poisonous golden toad. I wonder how they will deal with this golden toad. Lin Fei smiled. Yi Zixuan resisted the dizziness and tried her best to resist. Why is it called golden toad? I clearly look black to you. Lin Fei smiled and said, That's because you don't know. This golden toad is not ordinary. Not only is its skin poisonous, even its blood is poisonous. Its entire body is poisonous. If you touch it, you'll be in trouble. Watch carefully. These people will definitely suffer great loss. Lin Fei was not in a hurry to go in. He wanted to watch the show first. As expected, as the golden toad moved, its huge tongue flicked and curled, instantly wrapping around a few people. With a crack, these people instantly became colorful. They were poisoned and stopped breathing in the blink of an eye. In just one move, 6 of those people had died. Their faces were filled with shock. Clearly, they did not expect the golden toad to be so strong. Doesn't that mean that the monster on our side is also very strong? Yi Zixuan secretly took a cold breath and asked, That depends on who it meets, Lin Fei said with a smile. If it meets me, then this monster can only say that it's unlucky. The people from the Technique sect on the other side were careless. After suffering a loss, they immediately retaliated. All kinds of spells were activated. You don't say. Once they attacked, they quickly found the golden toad's weakness. Although this golden toad was strong, it had a fatal weakness, and that was that its movement speed was relatively slow. Perhaps it was because of its weight, but it basically did not move much. Thus, the opportunity came. This looks like petrification, weakening, paralysis. I didn't expect the techniques of the technique sect to be so strong. Using the golden toad's weakness, the technique sect immediately gained the advantage. The golden toad's body was immediately covered in wounds. Just as it was about to die, the golden toad turned and ran. With a plop, it jumped into the crater and disappeared. Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian were both dumbfounded. You could actually do this. They had to resist to the end. When did these monsters become so smart? Young Master Lin, could it be that these monsters have their own consciousness and know to escape at the critical moment? Isn't it afraid of dying by jumping down from the sky pit? Lin Fei casually said, "If you think of them as ordinary monsters, then you are gravely mistaken. These monsters are not as simple as you think they are. If you don't see them guarding this place, then you can only say that the people from the art sect have temporarily passed the first stage." The first round was already like this. It seemed like not everyone could pass it. At the very least, Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian felt immense pressure. After looking at them, we can go in first. Otherwise, we will have to work for them for nothing. I can't do something like being a good person. Lin Fei made his move. Beams of sword light shot out and instantly turned into a rain of swords. Everywhere the sword rain passed, the monsters were instantly pierced through. Corpses were everywhere. The huge monster also opened its eyes. It was a green bull. It was much larger than the usual bulls. Its body was covered in scales, as if it was wearing a set of steel armor. At first glance, this green bull looked very rough. When it opened its eyes, you would see that its blood-red eyes were filled with a ferocious aura. Yi Xian and Yi Zixuan felt goosebumps when they were stared at. They felt uneasy, as if they were being stared at by the Grim Reaper. This was only the first round. "You bull, are you planning to go down obediently? Or should I kill you and use you to make a roast beef meal?" Lin Fei slashed with his sword, and the sword light spread out for thousands of miles. When the green bull that looked ferocious saw the sword light coming, it jumped down without saying a word. Even the scales on its body stood up. "Young Master Lin, this will do." Yi Zixuan covered her mouth in disbelief. Even though they already knew that Lin Fei's strength was terrifying and unfathomable, every time they saw Lin Fei make a move, they felt that they could not see through him. Even though they had not fought with this green bull before, they could feel from its aura that it was a post-celestial realm green bull. If they were to really fight, they had no chance of winning at all. They reckoned that it would not even be able to open the outer shell of that armor. On the contrary, if they were to be hit, they would probably be unconscious. The fur and other parts of these monsters' corpses are quite valuable. You can pack them up and bring them back. There were many corpses all over, and they were all killed with one sword strike. It could be said that they were very well preserved. Yi Xian and Yi Zixuan shook their heads. Right now, they were not interested in dealing with these monsters' corpses. "I think we should go down first," Yi Zixuan said. "No matter how good these monsters are, they are probably not as valuable as those big monsters. Why waste time here? Why not stall for time for those people behind us? I believe they will be very interested." After all, Yi Xian and Yi Zixuan were people who had seen big scenes, especially Yi Zixuan. She really looked down on the fur of these monsters, although the fur of these monsters was quite good, and if it was in the past, it would definitely be a big seller in the Kunlun secret realm. But now, she was really not interested in packing. She was getting more and more interested in the sinkhole below. Moreover, if they stayed here for too long, who knew what would happen? It was better to go down first. She did not see that the people from the technique Grandmaster had already gone down. Lin Fei did not say anything else. Standing at the edge of the sinkhole below was unfathomable. Are we really going to jump down like this? Why don't we find another way? Yi Zixuan was afraid when she saw this sinkhole. If they were to jump down like this, they would definitely die. The sinkhole below is not as dangerous as you think. Lin Fei smiled and jumped down. Yi Zixuan was stunned. Lin Fei went down and disappeared in the blink of an eye. This is a rare opportunity. We have to jump down now, Yi Xian said without thinking. Yi Zixuan took a deep breath, and her gaze became firm. I believe in Lin Fei. Chapter 4285. Lin Fei did jump down, but this jump was a little different from other places. If you really thought that the bottom was a sinkhole, then you would be gravely mistaken, because there was another world below. Lin Fei kept falling, but it was not as fast as he imagined. It was as if there was a big hand holding him up from below. His entire body was like a feather slowly falling. While falling, Lin Fei noticed that both sides of the sinkhole were smooth stone walls, and these stone walls were covered in moss. Very quickly, Lin Fei noticed something because these stone walls were covered in stone patterns, and these stone patterns were very mysterious. If it was an ordinary person, they would really not be able to see it because there was moss and it looked like a ravine. Lin Fei released his divine sense and circled around the stone wall, constantly checking. With this check, he really found the problem. The stone walls were covered in stone patterns, and these stone patterns were very complicated. But Lin Fei remembered them one by one and constantly organized them in his mind. From jumping down to landing on the ground, it did not take long. Only half an hour, and Lin Fei already had a mysterious ancient text in his mind. Lin Fei had never seen this kind of ancient text before, but when these words on the stone wall were combined together, it gave people a very profound and mysterious aura. Lin Fei was someone who had experienced it, so he could naturally see it clearly. This ancient text must have a big secret in it. As for how many people had obtained this ancient text, it was hard to say. For someone like him who had divine sense to check, it was easier than anyone else. The bottom of the sinkhole was flat ground, but at this time there were corpses of monsters lying on the ground, and there were also skeletons of many years old. It was unknown how long these skeletons had been dead for. Lin Fei looked around, and then casually found a place to sit down. He believed that Yi Xian and Yi Zixuan would definitely come down. After all, such an opportunity was rare. If they missed it this time, it would be very difficult to encounter it again. Brother, you're so strong, you actually dared to jump down from the top of the sinkhole. After Lin Fei sat down, someone greeted him from a short distance away. You people from the Technique sect actually haven't left yet. Are you still planning to ambush someone here and make a fortune? Lin Fei teased. Those people were from the art sect. They were all sitting together, and their faces were a little pale. It was obvious that they had taken pills and were resting. The people from the Technique faction did not want to continue taking risks. Who knew what would happen? They might as well jump into the crater. Little brother, you must be joking. How could people like us have such thoughts? You misunderstood. The one who spoke was a muscular man with only one arm. If it wasn't for the fact that this one-armed, brawny man had displayed such a terrifying technique during the battle, he wouldn't have been able to escape. Most people would think that this one-armed man was pitifully weak. Lin Fei chuckled. The one-armed man and the others were indeed healing themselves. However, they had their own thoughts. If they could eat a wave of people here, they would be able to reap some benefits. As the saying goes, who knows what will happen when the black eats the black? Moreover, this was the bottom of the sinkhole. Seems like this kid is quite smart. I don't know where he came from, but he actually dared to jump down from the sky. A young man beside the one-armed brawny man said in a low voice, "Just ignore this kid. Let's do our own thing." The one-armed brawny man retracted his gaze after taking a glance. After a while, Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian came down one after another. Both of them had a look of disbelief on their faces. They originally thought that they would fall from above and eventually become a pile of mud. Who would have thought that jumping down from the sinkhole would result in such a situation? How is it? I won't lie to you, right? This sinkhole has a different world. Of course, before the sandstorm, this sinkhole was the real deal. Whoever jumped down would definitely die. However, after the sandstorm, this place is different. Yi Xian and Yi Zixuan sighed. They didn't think that this sinkhole would have such a secret. Those big monsters that jumped down just now, did they all run in from these holes? Yi Zixuan looked at the holes below. The bottom of the sinkhole was like a circle, and on the edge of this circle there were holes. At first glance, it looked like they were at the entrance of a maze. They did run inside, Yi Zixuan said. Lin Fei looked and said, "As for which hole is safer, I don't know. Of course, if your luck is bad and you walk into a dead end, then you really won't be able to walk out and can only become bones on the ground." This young master is absolutely correct. I have learned from the information that these caves are not simple caves. Rather, they are a huge formation. Within the formation, there are life gates and death gates. It all depends on one's luck, the one-armed man said with a smile. Yi Xian and Yi Zixuan hurriedly stood to the side. They really didn't notice that the people from the technique faction were actually healing not far away. So you are also smart people. I just don't know what you plan to choose. Lin Fei said with a smile. When the one-armed brawny man heard Lin Fei's words, he naturally also wanted to test him. If he could hear some clues, then it couldn't be better. From the looks of it, this kid was more cunning and vigilant than he had imagined. It would not be easy to get some clues from the other party. We leave this to fate. If it's fated to be ours, then it will definitely be ours. If we don't have that life, then we asked for it. The one-armed brawny man also knew how to speak. I'm not as complicated as you think I am. Isn't it just a cave? I can just casually enter one. Why do I have to think so much? It's either life or death. It's such a simple matter, Lin Fei said before walking into a cave. Haha. Yi Xian and Yi Zixuan looked at each other. He chose just like that. This was too simple. At least they hadn't confirmed it yet. The one-armed brawny man was also dumbfounded. He was really a little unprepared. Another stupid guy. Does he really think that he can casually choose a good path? The one-armed brawny man snorted coldly in his heart. When you are unlucky, then you will know regret. Lin Fei would not have any regrets. The cave was filled with corpses of all sizes. Some of these corpses belonged to humans, while others belonged to monsters. 10 caves. Are they really used to choose life and death? Yi Zixuan chased after them and asked cautiously, "You already know in your heart. Why bother asking? Anyway, just follow me. I'll bring you to see the real divine dragon's secret realm." Ah, is this really the entrance to the divine dragon's secret realm? The two of them couldn't help but get excited. One should know that the divine dragon's secret realm had always been a legendary existence. No one had ever entered it. You two are thinking too much. This is just a place to test. Chapter 40:286. The two of them had indeed been happy for nothing. However, they did not expect that a small test would be more thrilling than they had imagined. Previously, they had thought that this trip to the divine dragon's secret realm would be quite easy. At the very least, the innate level would not be that pressured. However, it seemed that the divine dragon's secret realm was far more terrifying and dangerous than they had imagined. The dangers of this passage were not as much as they had imagined. It was nothing more than some hidden monsters that would pop up from time to time. Of course, these monsters were all killed by Lin Fei before they could even make a move. None of the monsters he passed through survived. It only took them about an hour to walk out of this passage. They felt a little relaxed. This was completely different from what the one-armed man from the technique Grandmaster had said. He said that they were luckier. After walking out of the passage, their field of vision suddenly opened up. Unknowingly, they had arrived at the heart of a mountain. Most importantly, there was a palace in front of them, a big black palace. There was a stairway in every direction of the palace that led to the inside of the palace. There were a total of 10 such stairways in such weather. At this moment, there was such a stairway in front of Lin Fei. There's so many statues on this stairway, and there is one at regular intervals. Could this be a test? Yi Zixuan noticed the statues on the stairway. Every so often there would be some statues. These statues looked very ordinary. However, just by standing there, they gave off a very dangerous aura. Yi Zixuan also sensed it and could not see any problems at all. You can go and try these statues. They are good stuff. Lin Fei smiled. Then let me try it first. Yi Xian was the first to rush out. Very soon he was next to the first statue. Swoosh! A statue holding a knife moved. The long saber in his hand chopped down, creating a strong gust of wind. It looked like a small knife, but it did make Yi Xian feel a great deal of pressure. This was a statue at the innate level. Yi Xian was already very tired after exchanging blows. The other party's knife technique was very powerful and very dangerous. Every slash was fatal. If he was not careful, he would be killed with a single slash. Yi Xian had met quite a few masters, but it was rare to see such a master using a knife. He finally understood why Lin Fei asked him to come up and give it a try. This was simply asking for his life. There was more than one statue on the stairway to heaven. There were at least 10 or more of them. If one of them was already in such a state, wouldn't all of them die here? After struggling for a while, Yi Xian had to retreat. He looked a little embarrassed. Once they were a certain distance away, the blade-wielding statue stopped and remained motionless once again. If not for the fact that Zhang Xian had crossed blows with it, he would have never believed that the sculpture could undergo such a huge transformation. I didn't expect these statues to be so powerful. I'm no match for them alone. Sorry for making you laugh. Yi Xian smiled bitterly. The stairway to heaven was enough to stop everyone. What is this? Why is it so powerful? Yi Zixuan was very curious. She also felt the danger. This thing is actually very easy to understand. They are puppets. Someone refined them. However, these puppets were probably warriors when they were alive. But now, they have been refined into puppets to guard this stairway. These statues will be more powerful than the previous one, especially the last one. You guys have learned something new. Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian both secretly gasped. They felt that it was too cruel. This is simply a demonic method, Yi Zixuan said. Whether it's a demonic method or not, they are just a bunch of unlucky people, Lin Fei said casually. Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian both fell silent. Lin Fei's words made a lot of sense. After all, he had already been refined into a puppet. Wasn't he just unlucky? Then how should we go over? Each statue is more powerful than the previous one. Even I, who is in the innate realm, feel the pressure. I guess I won't stand a chance if there are 2 statues. Yi Zixuan said self-deprecatingly. She was originally very confident in her talent, but after coming to the northern desert, her confidence had been tempered a lot, again and again. She knew that there was always someone better than her, a secret realm. Just these statues alone were enough to stump her. Just follow me. Don't think so much. Lin Fei was even more interested in this divine dragon's secret realm. They even had these puppet methods. It was a pity that the refining methods of these puppets were a bit crude. However, their strength was still quite good. It was indeed possible to set up this place as a test. At least, ordinary people would not be able to make it. Even if there were innate masters, without 3 to 5 of them working together, they would not be able to make it. On this point, Lin Fei's eyesight was very good. Look, there seems to be someone coming out. Yi Zixuan's eyesight was good. She suddenly noticed that there were people appearing on a stairway not far away. However, these people were not from the technique sect. They were other people. Yi Xian could recognize them. There was also a hint of anger on his face. I didn't expect the people from the demon sect to come first. They're not slow. These people that everyone wants to beat up actually have the guts to come. As someone who had stayed in the Kunlun secret realm, Yi Xian naturally knew about the existence of the demon sect. Looks like the divine dragon secret realm has indeed attracted a lot of people this time. They are from the heavenly demon sect. It is a very inconspicuous sect, but they love to use evil methods to increase their strength. Lin Fei had long noticed these people. There were quite a lot of them. There were about 11 or 12 of them. They were considered to be quite a big group. After arriving on the stairway, they also noticed Lin Fei's side. However, they did not pay much attention to it. They quickly began to rush up. Those statues were activated one by one. Looks like this time, all the major forces of the Kunlun secret realm have come. This is interesting. The more people there are, the more fun it will be. I guess that ancestor also thinks so. I think we should be more careful. After all, the people from the demon sect are not good people. They are the best at scheming, Yi Zishuan reminded. Of course, Lin Fei would not say that he did not care about these people from the demon sect. No matter how many of them came, it would be like chopping vegetables. He just felt that it would be more lively this time. It had been a long time since he encountered such a lively event. Since the people from the demonic path are here, we can go now. You guys keep up with me. Just don't run ahead of me. Of course, if you guys want to train, these statues are also a good choice. Lin Fei had already arrived at the side of the closest statue, the statue that was holding a knife chopped down. Bookseller's website. Chapter 4287. The statue, wielding the blade, slashed down. It was as vigorous as before, and there was even a hint of blade technique in it. Lin Fei raised his hand and slammed his sword against the statue's body. The statue broke into pieces. The strength of these statues was indeed at the inborn level. However, there were still flaws. Secondly, the blade technique was full of flaws. One slash could break them all, and naturally, the statue's body would be blasted apart. The statue's body wasn't as strong as imagined. It could be said that it was very fragile and would collapse upon contact. The second statue was quickly activated. This was a spear-wielding statue. Anyway, the statues on this stairway were different. They had all kinds of weapons. To Lin Fei, they were nothing. He just walked on. Everywhere he passed, the statues would be destroyed. None of the statues could threaten Lin Fei. When the people from the heavenly demon sect saw this scene, they secretly gasped. The few people in the lead had strange expressions on their faces. I didn't expect such an expert to appear from the orthodox sections. He's so young. Who knows who he is? We came to the divine dragon mystery dimension for the treasures left behind by the ancestors. As long as there is a threat, we have to kill them first. I don't know that young man, but I do know that woman. I think she's called Yi Zishuan. She's a saintess from the orthodox sections. However, her strength is average at the inborn level. Could that be Yi Zishuan's master or elder? When the people from Sky Demonic Sect attacked the statues, it could be said that all of them were involved. Only then were they able to get rid of the statues one by one. However, compared to Lin Fei, they were a far cry. This made them feel ashamed. He was having an easy time while they were swarming. There was no comparison at all. We have to follow too. We can't let that brat go in first. Who knows if they will snatch the good stuff? Even so, they couldn't keep up with Lin Fei's speed. One statue after another was destroyed. Soon, they reached the end of the stairway. At this moment, there were more experts on the stairway. These experts appeared one after another. First, they could tell what was going on. Similarly, there was a group of people on Lin Fei's side. This group of people were all young, and they were led by a few old men. As soon as these people arrived at the top of the stairway, their faces lit up. Clearly, They did not expect that someone would beat them to it. More importantly, the person had even gotten rid of their troubles. Ha 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 ha. Looks like our luck is pretty good. We can catch up to everyone else. As soon as these people came out, they all noticed the situation. They must have used up a lot of energy. Let's chase them down. The thing at the end of the stairway to heaven is ours. These people did not take Lin Fei and the other two seriously at all. It's them. I didn't expect these guys to come as well. They even planned to be the mantis, stalking the cicada. Wishful thinking. Yi Zixuan revealed a trace of hatred when she saw them. So did Yi Xian. I was wondering who could move so fast. It turns out to be Saint Yi and Yi Xian, but you don't come with many people. So, don't blame us for being embarrassed. Will you leave, or will we send you on your way? Lin Fei was approaching the last statue. He couldn't help but stop. Enemies are still enemies. Lin Fei looked back. For innate masters and the rest were all masters. The lineup was not small, but compared to the demon sect, it was still a little worse. Yi Zixuan said, "They are our old enemies. Usually we have fought with their sect many times, and we have always been evenly matched. I didn't expect to meet them here. The one who spoke just now is this time's elder, Yu Shantian. Are you sure you want to chase us down from here? If you have the guts, say it again," Lin Fei said lightly. Yu Shantian could naturally see that this person seemed to be the strongest among the three. However, these statues were not easy to deal with. They must have consumed a lot of energy. If they really fought, the 4 innate masters on their side might not be able to take them down. Yes, that's what I said. If you scram now, you can live. Otherwise, I can only send you on your way. Plus, you won't be lonely along the way, Yu Shantian said coldly. Lin Fei crooked his finger. Then come on. I'll stand here and see how you're going to chase me down. Instead, I'll give you guys a piece of advice. You came all the way to the divine dragon's secret realm. Don't you see that you're going to lose your life? Yu Shantian had never seen such an arrogant guy. Just because of what you said, I will give you a memorable memory. Yu Shantian waved his hand. The masters behind him rushed up one by one. Even though the 2 innate masters beside him also came up, it was mainly to restrain Yi Xian and Yi Zixuan. As for Lin Fei, there was only 1 innate master left. With this master, it would be enough. I'm in a hurry, so I can't be bothered to talk nonsense with you guys. Lin Fei chuckled, and a sword intent swept out. Black ripples crashed into them like flowing water. Bang, 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 bang. One by one, they were sent flying. Even those 2, no, 3 innate masters were the same. They all had a wound on their bodies. You've cultivated a sword intent, and it's such a domineering sword intent. You're not on Yi Zixuan's side at all. Who exactly are you? Yu Shantian took a few steps back, and his hair stood on end. Now you know you can't beat me. Weren't you very arrogant just now? Try being arrogant again now. Lin Fei swung his hand, and a slap landed on Yu Shuentian's face. His face swelled. Yu Shuentian's entire body crashed into the stairway beside him, and he slapped him again with the back of his hand. Come, come, come. Chase me down. If you can do it, then you're awesome. How could you Shantian dare to say another word? Hence, he became bolder. Senior, I was wrong. I'll leave now. I'll leave this place immediately. I won't dare to appear again. Yu Shantian crawled up and kowtowed in apology. This was a hateful person. He definitely couldn't beat him, and he had even comprehended a sword intent. Someone with such a sword intent might be from Sky, Sword Mountain. Once he mentioned Sky, Sword Mountain, Yu Shantian completely gave up. Anyone who made an enemy of Sky, Sword Mountain, wouldn't have a good ending. Moreover, Sky Sword Mountain was famous for their powerful sword intent. Yu Shantian was very clear about this. Scram. Scram as far as you can. If I see you again, I'll chop off your head. A sword intent slashed down, and when it touched Yu Shuentian's cheek, It instantly made him feel as though he had fallen into the depths of hell. I'm dead. I'm really going to die. Yu Shantian didn't want to experience this a second time. He rolled and crawled as he ran. As for the disciples on the ground, he didn't care about them anymore. Escaping was more important. One sword had scared them out of their wits. Chapter 4288. Yu Shantian ran. At the very least, Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian were in a good mood. They had never seen Yu Shantian run away with his tail between his legs. It was a pity that he did not manage to kill that guy with one strike. Otherwise, they would be in a better mood. At least they would suffer a little in this divine dragon's secret realm. To Lin Fei, this was just a small matter. He was lucky that he did not kill this guy on the spot. Otherwise, that strike just now was no joke. No matter how many came, he would be killed. No one could block it. The big statue also moved. The statue was bigger than the other statues. The two blades turned into a tornado. It turned out that it was another powerful being who had comprehended blade intent. Under the continuous slashes, it really made people feel a dangerous and terrifying aura. Lin Fei stabbed out with his sword, aiming at the center of the opponent's weakness, and broke the tornado. After the two arms fell, the two sabers fell to the ground. The two sabers made a crisp clanging sound. With another strike, the statue's head was chopped off. The aggressive statue was destroyed, just like that. That kid must be an expert from the Sky Rapier sect. Damn it, how can there be such a powerful expert? That statue could not even block a few strikes from him. When the people from the Heavenly Devil sect saw this, they all secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. They were prepared to plot against the other party just now. If they could get rid of an expert, it would be one. But now it seemed that they were wrong. They had overestimated the other party's ability. If the other party wanted to kill them, it would probably be a matter of minutes. They could not afford to offend the experts from the Sky Rapier sect. Lin Fei led them through the stone staircase, smoothly. They walked into the palace. After walking into the palace, they realized that it was a completely different world. It was completely different from what they had imagined. There are too many statues. Why does it look like a gathering? Yi Zixuan gasped when she entered. The scene in front of her was really beyond her imagination. The palace was densely packed with statues. More importantly, these statues were arranged in order. The statues on the stone staircase outside had already made everyone nervous. Now that they saw so many statues, it would be weird if they did not have any thoughts. What if they resurrected? Facing an army of statues was not something that just anyone could withstand. They might even be torn to pieces in a single exchange. It's fine. These statues are all dead. Someone placed them here to scare people, Lin Fei said casually. After taking a look, Lin Fei was certain that these statues were dead. If these statues could come to life, then the layout of this place would be a little different. It was not easy to refine tools. It was not easy to have so many statues outside. It would be wishful thinking to create another large area, unless one reached Lin Fei's level. Of course, that would require a large amount of resources. Then how do we go now? I think this place is very strange. Yi Zixuan said after sizing it up. That's because this place is an 8 trigrams formation. Don't be fooled by the neat and orderly arrangement of the statues. Once you walk in, the statues will start moving. After Lin Fei came in, some people had also arrived. First were people from the Heavenly Demonic sect. There were also people from the Technique sect. After seeing these statues, they all had lingering fears. Obviously, they had suffered a lot outside. Now, they were also very careful. They only heaved a sigh of relief after confirming that there was no danger. They also noticed Lin Fei on this side. If they didn't see how efficient he was just now, they would be fools. Therefore, they were very afraid of this young expert. It's an 8 trigrams formation. It doesn't look like it, Yi Zixuan said. It's a little different from what I imagined. Of course, this is not an ordinary 8 trigrams formation. It's an 8 trigrams formation left behind from ancient times. If you think it's an ordinary 8 trigrams formation, be prepared to be trapped inside for the rest of your life. Lin Fei was also quite surprised. After all, he could see an ancient 8 trigrams formation here. This 8 trigrams formation seemed to be quite incomplete. Even so, it could still be used as a tiger blocking the way. Even an innate realm expert would feel their scalp go numb when they entered it. No matter what it was, when it involved the word ancient, it naturally became not simple. For example, this 8 trigrams formation in front of him. No, it was an ancient 8 trigrams formation. Come, let's go in now. It was just an 8 trigrams formation. Moreover, it was incomplete. It really couldn't stop Lin Fei. After seeing Lin Fei enter, those people were also anxious. If Lin Fei were to beat them to it, who knew what good things he would pick up inside? Therefore, they entered one by one without thinking. As soon as they entered the 8 trigrams formation, they knew that this 8 trigrams formation wasn't simple. This was because the 8 trigrams formation had started to change. This change could be seen with the naked eye. They wanted to stop it, but they didn't have the ability to. Even if they wanted to destroy these statues, they found that these statues seemed to be connected together. There was a very strong layer of defense, and they couldn't break it in a short time. They were shocked and regretted entering in such a hurry. After the 8 trigrams formation changed, some of these statues would actually attack from time to time. It was because you couldn't detect it at all because there were no traces. Often, they would be motionless a moment ago, and in the next moment, they would slash at you. Compared to the statues on the stone stairs, these were a little different. These statues couldn't last long. Even if they knew the flaws of these statues, they still couldn't find these statues, because these statues seemed to be all together and attacked randomly. They couldn't find any traces at all. Everyone started to have a headache. They were even more careful. Lin Fei blocked in front of him with his sword. He dispelled the attack of a statue. Lin Fei's divine consciousness was very strong. It almost enveloped this 8 trigrams formation. Therefore, he could see the changes of the 8 trigrams formation clearly, especially which statue would move. He could also see it clearly. He wasn't like those people who would often get hit if they weren't careful. Yi Xian and Yi Zixuan followed closely behind. It could be considered an eye-opener. After the changes of the 8 trigrams formation, they could strongly feel the profoundness within. If it were them, they would definitely be trapped here. They felt that after they left this time, they had to learn the path of formations no matter what. At critical moments, formations were still quite useful. If they didn't know how to break it, then they would really suffer a big loss. Not long after, the two of them saw a stone staircase in the center of the 8 trigrams formation. This stone staircase wasn't big. It was just enough for one person to walk on. At the entrance stood a statue. This statue was completely different from the other statues. It didn't hold any weapons and looked completely ordinary. It can't be another test, right? Yi Zixuan was already afraid. Chapter 4289. The reward had arrived. Both Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian were surprised. Could it be that this statue would give rewards? In the next second, a dumbfounded scene appeared. The chest area of the statue actually opened, and a wooden box popped out. The surface of this wooden box was carved with ancient patterns, and it looked very ancient. The box wasn't very big, and it was about the size of an ordinary carton. There really is such a thing as a reward. Lin Fei said indifferently, since it's a test, then there must be a reward. It's just whether the reward is good or bad. But we're the first to come here, so the reward should be quite good. Yi Xian's sword intent swept the wooden box over, and it wasn't light. With a click, the wooden box opened. A book fell out, and at the same time, a bottle of elixirs. Yi Zixuan picked up the book, and her expression couldn't help but change. Oh my God, it's actually the Lost Sky Sword Mountain's lost technique. Why would it be left here as a reward? If I'm not wrong, then this should be a heaven elixir. Yi Zixuan also suspected that she had seen wrongly. How could it be such an item? This was a legendary item, and it was almost lost. If it wasn't for the book that fell out, Yi Zixuan definitely wouldn't have remembered it. Yi Xian also saw it, but he knew much less than Yi Zixuan. But he had also heard of the Sky Sword Mountain, and he still felt a sense of fear. The Sky Sword Mountain was the strongest force among the 5 major forces. Everyone was a sword cultivator, and everyone knew sword formations. It could be said that their combat power was unparalleled. The people of the Sky Sword Mountain were known to be invincible in the same realm, and these guys were also very violent and crazy. Also, the Sky Sword Mountain was very protective. If they knew about this lost technique, in addition to the Heaven Elixir, they would definitely fight to the death. No one could monopolize these things. Lin Fei really didn't know about this, but no matter how powerful these secret books were, it was just that. As for the elixirs inside, they were indeed a little extraordinary, but Lin Fei didn't think much of it. Looks like the reward is quite good. Unfortunately, the people from Heavenly Sword Mountain won't have the chance to get it, said Lin Fei jokingly. Yi Zixuan could not help but become anxious. I feel that these secret manuals and heavenly pills, if possible, it would be best to return them to the Heavenly Sword Mountain in exchange for their friendship. Otherwise, if they find out, there will be big trouble. Those madmen will definitely chase to the end and take these things back. Even if they have to chase them to the ends of the earth, it will still be the same. Yi Zixuan knew that Lin Fei was very powerful, but Heavenly Sword Mountain was truly powerful. The fellows from the Heavenly Sword Mountain all had unparalleled combat prowess. They feared everyone in the same realm. In the Kunlun secret realm, they would rather offend other powers than offend the experts from the Heavenly Sword Mountain. No matter if it was the secret manual or the Heaven Pellet, they were both items that had been lost in time. They could allow the Heavenly Sword Mountain to nurture a few more sword god-level experts. And this was under the worst-case scenario. If those elders were to consume the Heavenly Elixir and break through to a higher level, the influence of the Sky Sword Mountain would be even greater. Everyone knew that the Heavenly Sword Mountain had an ultimate goal, and that was to unify the Kunlun secret realm. In reality, the Heavenly Sword Mountain was indeed walking towards the step. Their influence was also growing. If it wasn't for the other powers suppressing them, they would have taken action long ago. Not good. They must be here. I heard that quite a number of experts came from the Heavenly Sword Mountain this time. I was puzzled. It seems like they more or less know about the rewards of this test. Maybe you guys are on the way here. Yi Zixuan suddenly thought of something. You are thinking too much. Once the things are in my Lin Fei's hands, it is impossible for me to hand them over. Unless they talk to me nicely and take out something that can move me, they can forget about it. What kind of person was Lin Fei? He was really not afraid of this Heavenly Sword Mountain. When Yi Zixuan heard this, she knew that it was impossible for Lin Fei to hand over these things. Right now, she felt that these things were just a hot potato. When would it cause a huge problem? Lin Fei suddenly looked in a direction. If I didn't guess wrongly, the experts from the Heavenly Sword Mountain that you mentioned should be here. Under Lin Fei's perception, he could clearly feel a few sword intents moving towards him. Moreover, the sword intents were all very powerful, and each of them had their own attributes. In other words, they had all comprehended different sword intents. With such sword intents, only the people from the Heavenly Sword Mountain could do so. This was the best proof. They are moving so quickly. Yi Zixuan didn't feel it at all. However, she believed in Lin Fei's words. Such an interesting thing, I have to play with them. Otherwise, wouldn't they have made a wasted trip? Lin Fei took out the secret manuals and elixirs. He immediately put the empty box back. No, he even left a normal healing elixir in the empty box. It was the cheapest one. When Yi Zixuan saw this, she was speechless. She felt that when the experts from the Heavenly Sword Mountain saw this, they would definitely be dumbfounded. Then they would be furious. That was the Heavenly Sword Mountain. This was no different from behaving atrociously on a tiger's head. After doing these things, Lin Fei brought Yi Xian and Yi Zixuan into the heaven stairway. At the same time, a group of people arrived outside the 8 trigrams formation. When these people saw the 8 trigrams formation, they were delighted. The information that we got from other places was indeed correct. There really is an 8 trigrams formation here. This is an ancient 8 trigrams formation. Then, at the center of the 8 trigrams formation is the reward for this mission. We are not slow. When the time comes, we will be able to get the things left behind by the heavenly sword mountain. The one who spoke was an old man in his 50s, although he looked a little old. His eyes were like sharp swords that pierced people's hearts. At this moment, he was also showing excitement. Elder, leave this to me. Although the 8 trigrams formation is an ancient 8 trigrams formation, it is not complete. It is just an imitation. As long as I have time, I will naturally be able to break it. These were all experts from the heavenly sword mountain. There were a total of 6 people. 4 of them had condensed sword intents. Moreover, their sword intents had different attributes. These people were qualified to be called sword cultivators in the heavenly sword mountain. Those who did not cultivate sword intents were not sword cultivators. This was a rule of the heavenly sword mountain. They would not let their disciples leave the mountain easily. One of the sword cultivators dashed into the ancient 8 trigrams town. The people behind him also followed. This person was the best at researching sword formations in the heavenly sword mountain. Therefore, this 8 trigrams formation was naturally easy for him, because all the great formations had one thing in common, which was that they led directly to the main path. Studying one thoroughly was equivalent to studying the others. It was actually the same principle. This expert from the heavenly sword mountain, he started to calculate. In the beginning, his progress was slower. However, as he understood the 8 trigrams formation, he found the right place. Everyone's speed increased again. Very quickly, they arrived at the new center of the 8 trigrams town. Although the whole process was not as fast as Lin Fei, it only took them about an hour. It was considered very fast. Chapter 4290. The experts of Sky, Sword Mountain, finally saw the statue. Everyone looked very excited, especially the white-haired elder. His expression was the most excited. His breathing was also slightly hurried as he stared at the statue. I always thought that the information was wrong. Now it seems that it was right. There is indeed an absolute technique of Sky, Sword Mountain, left behind by our patriarch. The elder seemed to have thought of something. The 5 experts behind him looked at the statue. Although they knew that there was something left behind by the patriarch of Sky, Sword Mountain, they did not know what it was exactly. Elder Jean, in that case, what kind of ultimate technique of our heavenly Sword Mountain is left here? Can you tell us about it? Our Sky Sword Mountain has many absolute techniques. However, we do not know which one the patriarch left behind. I heard that our Sky Sword Mountain's absolute techniques used to be very powerful. However, ever since we encountered the darkness that year, our Sky Sword Mountain lost quite a few of our absolute techniques. If we can obtain an absolute technique here, our Sky Sword Mountain strength will definitely increase again. The experts who could come here were the core experts of Sky Sword Mountain. They were all highly regarded and would have the chance to improve in the future. Actually, even if you don't tell me, I will tell you. Sky Sword Mountain does have many absolute techniques. The one left here should be Sky Sword Mountain's God Exterminating Sword. Other than that, there should be several heaven elixirs. When Jin Yuanqing said that, the 5 experts' expressions changed. One of them suddenly asked, "This God Exterminating Sword, could it be the super sword technique that the first-generation patriarch comprehended?" Sky Sword Mountain had produced many experts and many patriarchs. Among them, the first-generation patriarch was the most powerful. The reason why Sky Sword Mountain had such influence was all thanks to the first-generation patriarch. The most powerful thing about the first-generation patriarch was that he had comprehended a super sword technique that could kill gods. As for killing gods, it was not an ordinary god. It could even kill a real god. Because of this, the first-generation patriarch of Sky, Sword Mountain, had such achievements. When they heard that it was a sword technique, the few of them became excited. If they brought it back to Heavenly Sword Mountain, they would be the most qualified to learn it. At that time, they would have the strength to fight above their level. As for the Heavenly Elixir, you should know about it as well. It is one of the secret elixirs of the Heavenly Sword Mountain. Unfortunately, the Heavenly Elixir has been lost for a long time. Consuming a Heavenly Elixir would allow one to comprehend an absolute technique. If one wants to learn the Godly Extermination Sword, one must consume the Heavenly Elixir. Otherwise, it would be impossible to comprehend it. After hearing Jin Yuanqing's words, everyone knew that this trip was not in vain. Whether it was the one sword slaying god or the heavenly pill, they were both rare treasures. Jin Yuanqing kept hitting the statue, and the statue bounced open a wooden box. Jin Yuanqing took out the box. Everyone stared at the wooden box. Just from its appearance, they could tell that this wooden box was not simple. This wooden box should contain the secret technique and the heavenly pill. Jin Yuanqing carefully opened the wooden box. His mind was completely focused on the wooden box. A medicinal pill? What about the secret method? Everyone was dumbfounded. Elder Jin, why is it an elixir? Could this be a heavenly elixir? But why does it look so similar to a normal healing pill? The moment the wooden box was opened, everyone's expression changed. There was no secret technique inside, only an elixir. However, this elixir did not look eye-catching and looked very ordinary. After one of them said that, everyone realized that the elixir seemed to be a healing elixir. It was not a heavenly pill at all. With a kacha sound, Jin Yuanqing crushed the wooden box. Who snatched the one sword-slaying god and the heavenly pill? Who was it? Who was it? Could it be that someone was faster than us? This is the ancient 8 trigrams array. Jin Yuanqing's voice was filled with malevolence and unwillingness. It was not easy for them to come here. No, it was to come to this crater. They even broke through the ancient 8 trigrams array. However, they were too late. The items were gone. A healing elixir was like a humiliation. It had ruthlessly pinned their Sky, Sword Mountain's arrogance to the wall. This was definitely a provocation. Everyone could feel Elder Jin Yuanqing's killing intent. Elder Jin, if it is really that thing inside, then this person must be in front of us. If we chase after him now, we might be able to stop him. With an expert's reminder, everyone immediately realized that the person must not have gone too far. Jin Yuanqing came back to his senses. He had nearly forgotten that since the item inside could be taken away, the person must be in front of them. Everyone, keep your spirits up and chase after him. No matter who it is, search the place first. We will not allow anyone to snatch away our Sky, Sword Mountain's items. At the same time, when he opened the wooden box, Lin Fei frowned slightly. He had left behind a healing elixir. At the same time, he had left behind his divine sense. The divine sense was very inconspicuous. However, as long as someone opened the wooden box, he would be able to sense it immediately. Someone came to that place again. I wonder who it is. The reason why Lin Fei had left behind the healing elixir was purely to play a small game. As for who had taken it away, Lin Fei did not really care. At that moment, Lin Fei and the others had arrived at a huge public square. The public square was empty, and it appeared very quiet. At the very center of the public square, there was a huge dragon carved from a huge stone. It was vivid and lifelike, as though it was real. It was looking down on the sky. At first glance, one would think that it was real. This was because the huge dragon carved from the stone actually gave off a slight sense of oppression. Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian searched around the public square, and did not discover anything. Could we have come to the wrong place? I don't think there is any exit here apart from this statue. Yi Zishuan's gaze landed on the huge dragon. Lin Fei was also inspecting the surroundings. He did not see anything different. On the contrary, this huge dragon seemed a little mysterious. It shouldn't be possible for us to go the wrong way. There should be other mysteries here. We haven't encountered it yet because it hasn't been activated. We just have to wait here. Lin Fei randomly found a place and sat down cross-legged. Wait, based on the current situation, other than waiting, there seemed to be nothing else. Then they would just wait. They actually came over. Such a strong sword intent. Lin Fei, who had been sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the place in front of him. There were 6 people there. Yi Zishuan and the others were on their guard. They seemed to be from the Sky Sword Mountain. Why is it them? The leader seems to be an elder of the Sky Sword Mountain. His name is Jin Yuancheng. Yi Zishuan thought to herself, this is bad. Speak of the devil. She did not expect the experts of the Sky Sword Mountain to come so quickly. More importantly, an elder of Jin Yuancheng had also come. In the Sky Sword Mountain, those who could take up the position of an elder were the true experts. This was because they could easily kill an innate expert. They looked over. Chapter 40, 291. When their gazes swept over, Yi Zishuan and Yi Xian's heart sank. Their hair stood on end because their gazes were too terrifying. It was as if they were going to be pierced through. They knew that this was the sword intent of the Sky Sword Mountain experts. Because the sword intent was very strong, it had an extremely strong penetrative feeling. People were like swords, and swords were like people. And these Sky Sword Mountain experts had actually reached this level. Come over here. Our Sky Sword Mountain suspects that you guys are hiding our things. I want to search you guys now. One of the Sky Sword Mountain experts said impolitely. When they came over, they saw Lin Fei and the other 2. Apart from the 3 of them, there was no one else in the plaza. Thus, it could be concluded that the item from Heavenly Sword Mountain was definitely with the 3 of them. Jin Yuancheng was also sizing up the 3 of them. Yi Xian and Yi Zishuan were both innate realm experts, so they were put aside. Jin Yuancheng couldn't see through this young man. Because his realm was unclear, he seemed to be an innate realm expert at first glance. But after a closer look, he didn't seem to be one. These 3 people were the first to arrive at the plaza. If the unique skill of Sky Sword Mountain wasn't on them, who would it be on? No matter what, he had to check them first. As long as they resisted, he would immediately suppress them. Yi Zishuan and Yi Xian smiled bitterly. They didn't expect the people of Sky Sword Mountain to arrive so quickly. Moreover, there was an elder among them, and there were 4 who had condensed sword intent. Such a force in Kunlun Mystic Realm could directly sweep away second- and third-rate forces. Even first-rate forces would have a headache. You want us to hand over the things, and you want us to search? Who do you think you are? Lin Fei laughed loudly. The Sky Sword Mountain expert who spoke first thought that he had heard wrongly. There was actually someone who disregarded their Sky Sword Mountain. Just the 3 of you, and you dare to put on airs in front of our Sky Sword Mountain? Let me see what gives you the right to do so. The Sky Sword Mountain expert snorted coldly and stabbed with his sword. After the stab, snowflakes fell from the sky, exuding an endless chill, like a world of ice and snow. Yi Xian and Yi Zishuan's expressions changed, and they immediately retreated, but their left and right shoulders were directly cut open by the snowflakes. They knew that experts who could condense sword intent were very powerful, especially those from Heavenly Sword Mountain. However, they never thought that a single person could cause both of them to feel such terrifying danger. This was even more terrifying than he had imagined. Snowflakes fell. How could he block them? There was no way he could block them. Snowflakes fell from the sky and enveloped them. Lin Fei immediately pulled Yi Xian and Yi Zixuan out and threw them far away. The sword intent of the Heavenly Sword Mountain is indeed extraordinary. No wonder they are known to be invincible in the same realm. I have learned something new. Lin Fei laughed and stamped his foot on the ground. His entire body was suddenly enveloped in raging flames. The falling snowflakes were directly disintegrated. Kid, you've actually managed to condense the power of a concept. Furthermore, it's a fire attribute one. The Sky Sword Mountain expert was also stunned. The power of this concept was not so easy to grasp. Isn't it just the power of concepts? It's no big deal. Isn't your Heavenly Sword Mountain very powerful? You have to break my concept first. The other party's sword technique suddenly changed, becoming more and more open, and traces of chilliness constantly seeped over. When the chill seeped over, it was blocked by Lin Fei's raging flames. It was unable to break through. No matter what sword technique the opponent used, it was still an ice sword intent. It couldn't break through the raging flames at all. I didn't expect you to have such a strong concept power at such a young age. No wonder you dare to say such words. Jin Yuanqing spoke. You should also retreat. This kid isn't someone your ice sword intent can defeat. His fire attribute concept is the perfect counter to your ice sword intent. The Sky Sword Mountain expert was very unhappy. However, since Elder Jin had spoken, he retracted his sword. However, his gaze was extremely cold as he stared at the opponent. You should be the strongest among them. Are you prepared to fight me personally? Lin Fei said. Jin Yuanqing really couldn't see through this guy. He could comprehend the power of concepts, and it was a fire attribute one. It could be seen that this guy's background wasn't small. This was also what Jin Yuanqing was worried about. He could see through it. That was why he asked his disciple to retreat. If this continued, he wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. Instead, he would tire himself out like a dog. When the time came and he was defeated, he would lose face. Of course, it was impossible for him to give up just like that. Jin Yuanqing suspected that the item was in the hands of this person. I don't know who you are, but I hope that you can hand over the item from Sky Sword Mountain. You people from Heavenly Sword Mountain are truly overbearing. I am merely one step ahead of you. Yet, you are already suspecting us? Why don't you suspect them? Lin Fei smiled and pointed at a spot nearby. Unknowingly, a group of people had arrived there. The first group was from Technique Sect, while the second group was from Sky Demon Sect. The people from both sides were dumbfounded. What does it have to do with us? Everyone had heard of Sky Sword Mountain, especially their unparalleled sword intent and combat power. It was said that after comprehending sword intent, one could practice sword formation. Sword formation was the most terrifying. It was unparalleled in both offense and defense. They really didn't want to fight against experts from Sky Sword Mountain. In particular, this elder of Jinyuan City had comprehended the sword formation. Once the sword formation appeared, it crushed them. The Heavenly Demon Sect was quite convinced. They had no choice but to be convinced. Don't listen to that kid's nonsense. We just came in. He was the first to enter the 8 trigrams formation, said the one-armed man from Suzhou. Our Heavenly Demon Sect can testify that they were the ones who entered first. In order to avoid being targeted by Sky Sword Mountain's Jin Yuanqing, he hurriedly told him everything. Jin Yuanqing was even more certain that this young man had taken the item from Sky Sword Mountain. You people from the Heavenly Demon Sect and the Technique Sect sure have guts. How dare you speak such nonsense? Who saw me take anything? Lin Fei had nothing better to do, so he decided to tease these guys. It was pointless to explore the secret realm. Since he was here, he had to have fun. It seems that you don't intend to hand over the item. I will take it myself. Jin Yuanqing snorted coldly, and a sword array appeared behind him. A total of 18 flying swords flew over. The 18 flying swords were not far from Lin Fei, and they displayed 18 different sword techniques. They were neat and orderly, but they were very powerful. You are in me, and I am in you. Chapter 42:92. As soon as Jinyuan City's sword formation appeared, everyone felt a chill in their faces. This coldness was not an ordinary kind of coldness. They would not be able to withstand it, let alone resist it. The experts of Sky Demon Sect and Law Faction were shocked. They knew that the experts of Sky, Sword Mountain were invincible. The elder of Jin Yuanqing had displayed his terrifying strength. 18 flying swords and 18 sword techniques were not to be underestimated. Even they might not be able to withstand it. They wanted to know what the young man had taken from Sky, Sword Mountain. Why would the elder of Jin Yuanqing take action personally and use the sword array? Once the sword array was activated, death was inevitable. No one had ever been able to withstand the power of the sword array. Now, I will ask you one question. Are you going to hand it over or not? Either you die under my sword, or you leave this place alive. The 18 flying swords that Jin Yuanqing controlled did not attack the young man immediately. He wanted to let the young man know his deterrent power and make him surrender without a fight. After all, the young man was just an inborn realm expert. Once he activated the sword array, the inborn realm expert would be killed like an ant, unless he was a Qi refining realm expert. However, it was impossible for a Qi refining realm expert to come here. Therefore, the young man had no other choice but to hand over the item. If Jin Yuanqing was not afraid that the people of Sky Demon Sect and Law Faction would talk nonsense, he would have killed the young man and taken the item from him. He would not have to go through so much trouble. Let's just fight. Why do you have so much nonsense to say? If I were you, I would attack without saying a word. Show me your strength first. Sure enough, I'm getting old, and my brain isn't as clear as it used to be. Jin Yuanqing was most afraid of people saying that he was old. Old meant that he had nothing, and his potential had reached its limit. He could not be compared to the young man at all. Based on what you said, I will chop off your 4 limbs first. Let's see if you will explain yourself later. Jin Yuanqing did not intend to be polite. Since this guy did not care about his reputation, he would be ruthless. 18 flying swords whizzed over, and 18 sword techniques were displayed once again. When the 18 sword techniques were displayed, the overwhelming sword prowess left everyone in awe. One sword technique is already so powerful, let alone 18 sword techniques. The elders of Heavenly Sword Mountain are truly amazing. Hua, hua, hua. The flames in front of Lin Fei instantly transformed into a stream of light. As the stream of light moved, it became like a canopy of the sky, blocking all the sword moves. Although the 18 sword techniques were very powerful, they could not do anything to Lin Fei at all. The flowing light of the flames flowed continuously, easily blocking everything. It seemed impossible to break it in a short period of time. Show me everything you've got. Let me see how much you've learned about the sword array. I can see that your sword art diagram is just a facade. It doesn't have any power at all. Even the Heavenly Sword Mountain is only SOSO. Shut up. You have no right to judge Heavenly Sword Mountain. Jin Yuanqing was enraged. He controlled the sword array again. All the flying swords instantly transformed into a huge sword and slashed down. It was much more powerful than before. This slash caused everyone's heart to tremble. It was as though the sword had landed on their hearts, causing them to become muddle-headed. I heard that Jin Yuanqing's Elders Guild has a powerful sword technique called Heart Sword. This sword doesn't slash the surface, but the soul. Once the soul is slashed, it is equivalent to losing everything. The person will become muddle-headed. The expression of the expert from Heavenly Demon Sect turned gloomy. He seemed to have recalled something, and there was a flash of terror in his eyes. I don't believe that you won't be affected by my heart sword. Jin Yuanqing used his unique sword technique, Heart Sword. It was not easy for him to comprehend the unique technique of Heavenly Sword Mountain. Currently, there were only a few people in Heavenly Sword Mountain who could use it. He was one of them. Ordinary people were not qualified to enjoy the power of his sword. He had to block the sword array first. However, Jin Yuanqing still used the heart sword to prevent any accidents from happening. Although this sword consumed a lot of heart power, as long as he could seriously injure his opponent, he would naturally be able to take back the items from Heavenly Sword Mountain. Although the sword was blocked by the flaming flowing light, Jin Yuanqing did not care. After all, the power of the heart sword wasn't reflected on the surface. Instead, it was reflected in the depths of the person. I didn't expect Heavenly Sword Mountain to have such a unique technique. It is indeed unbelievable. However, your comprehension is too weak. Its true power is not like this. Today, I am in a good mood. I will let you see what the real heart sword is. Lin Fei snorted coldly. He raised his hand and swung his sword. There was no trace of this sword. Everyone thought that it was an ordinary sword. However, in the next second, Jin Yuanqing let out a groan, and blood flowed down from the corner of his mouth. He retreated more than 10 steps before he stopped. Even after he stopped, Jin Yuanqing's face was pale and muddle-headed. He only came to his senses after 15 minutes. Who are you? After Jin Yuanqing came back to his senses, he was filled with fear and wariness. That was because he had been hit by the heart sword. The heart sword was much more terrifying than his heart sword. He didn't know how much power the heart sword had used. However, if the heart sword had used its full power, he felt that the sword could have turned him into a vegetable. His consciousness would have been wiped out, and he would only be left with an empty shell. Terrifying. It was really terrifying. Jin Yuanqing had also witnessed the true power of the heart sword. His power could only make one dazed and muddle-headed for a short period of time. It was nothing compared to the heart sword. Was this person from Heavenly Sword Mountain? Jin Yuanqing had never seen this person before. Who I am isn't important. What's important is how did my sword feel? Was it enjoyable? Why don't I give you another sword? Lin Fei smiled and looked over. How could Jin Yuanqing dare to experience that sword strike again? That sword strike had almost taken half of his life. The other 3 sword intent experts behind Jin Yuanqing couldn't feel how terrifying the sword was. However, Jin Yuanqing could see the changes in Elder Jin Yuanqing's eyes. They couldn't imagine how terrifying the sword was. Elder Jin, he is alone. Why don't we attack him together? We are all sword intent experts. Why can't we take him down? That's right. He is alone. We have so many people. If we work together, we can exhaust him to death. The few sword intent experts weren't convinced with the heart sword. Shut up. If you want to die, go ahead. I won't keep you. Jin Yuanqing snorted coldly. We will leave the item from Heavenly Sword Mountain with you for now. When the time comes, Heavenly Sword Mountain will come to take it back. Chapter 40, 293. Everyone was surprised that Elder Jin Yuanqing took the initiative to retreat. You are an elder expert of Sky Sword Mountain, and you even cultivate sword formations. Are you still not a match for that person? It was hard for them to accept. Jin Yuanqing really retreated to the side with his men, but his mood fluctuated a lot. No one could figure out what Jin Yuanqing was thinking, but there was no doubt that this young man made Jin Yuanqing's elders afraid. Perhaps it was because of that sword. The others did not hear the conversation between the two clearly. Only the experts of Sky Sword Mountain with the Conception realm knew something. That sword might be the heart sword. That was the only way to make Elder Jin Yuanqing fearful. That was why he said such a thing. When the item is in my hands, I will be happy to keep it safe for you. When Sky Sword Mountain is capable of doing so, feel free to come and take it. I, Lin Fei, will return it to you without hesitation, Lin Fei said with a smile. However, speaking of which, I really don't care about the things that your heavenly sword mountain has. Only you treat them as treasures. In my eyes, they are nothing. Why don't your heavenly sword mountain give me something good? Who knows, if I'm in a good mood, I might give you a big gift." As for Jin Yuanqing's scheme, Lin Fei could see it clearly. He wanted to make himself the target of everyone. After all, the items from the Heavenly Sword Mountain were definitely good stuff. Once the news spread, the factions in the Kunlun Mystery Realm would definitely make a move. At that time, the Heavenly Sword Mountain would only need to move their lips, and they would be able to get the items back easily. There were many people or forces that wanted to curry favor with Sky Sword Mountain. Jin Yuanqing did not believe Lin Fei's words. What could you possibly have in your hands? You can't deceive anyone, but you want to deceive Sky Sword Mountain? Do you think everyone is as gullible as a 3-year-old? Ignore. I must ignore. Calm down, calm down. Jin Yuanqing took a deep breath and told himself. He was afraid that he would not be able to control himself and fight with this guy. In the end, it would only benefit the people of Sky Demon Sect and Technique Sect. The items in Divine Dragon Mystery Land were good stuff. He had to conserve his strength before entering. He would leave the Heavenly Sword Mountain in Lin Fei's hands for the time being. In any case, even if it could run away, it could not run away forever. The people from the Heavenly Demon Sect and the Technique Sect took a deep breath and remembered Lin Fei. Fortunately, they didn't make a move. Otherwise, it would be their turn to have a headache. Originally, they were still concerned about Jinyuan City, the Sky Sword Mountain Elder. However, it seemed that there was no need for that anymore. Lin Fei had already set his eyes on Jinyuan City. With Lin Fei present, Jinyuan City of Heavenly Sword Mountain would have to think twice if he wanted to snatch anything good. While everyone was talking, waves of forces also began to come from other directions. Clearly, everyone's speed was not slow. Everyone knows that the early bird gets there first. He had to get to the entrance of the Divine Dragon Arcane Realm first. Ha 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 ha. If I'm not mistaken, this should be the entrance to the Divine Dragon Mystic Land. This is the Divine Dragon Gate. It can only be opened by gathering 10 Divine Dragon Keys. It looks like I'm not too late. At this time, a forthright voice rang out. Everyone looked over subconsciously. After seeing this person, Jinyuan City of Heavenly Sword Mountain was the first to have a change in expression. One of the 4 kings, the Heaven Eye King, is here. Has he been in seclusion all this while? Why would he come to the Divine Dragon Mystic Land at this time? After Jinyuan City knew that this person was here, the competition for the Divine Dragon Mystic Land would be even more difficult. The previous Lin Fei was already unfathomable. Another 4 kings had arrived. This was more stressful than expected. Yi Zixuan also recognized this Heaven Eye King. She whispered to Lin Fei, "This person is one of the 4 kings of the Kunlun Mystic Land. His name is Heaven Eye King. He is the strongest expert below the 6 Supremes. I didn't expect him to come to the Divine Dragon Mystic Land. It seems that the competition this time will be very intense." Lin Fei had heard of this when he was at Danding Gate previously. However, he didn't pay much attention to it. This person is indeed an expert. He has reached the pinnacle of the next realm. No wonder he can become one of the 4 kings. After taking a glance, Lin Fei's interest was piqued. This was because the other party was indeed very strong. He was the strongest existence in history, at least on this earth. He was much stronger than the strongest experts from the Western world's Dark Church and Radiant Church. They were obviously not on the same level. The Kunlun Mystic Land was really hiding its strength. There was actually such an expert. Lin Fei had never heard of the 6 Supremes. Since the 4 kings were experts at the pinnacle of Qi Cultivation Stage 10, the 6 Supremes should have broken through to Qi Cultivation Stage and reached the Foundation Establishment Realm. After Qi Cultivation Stage, it would naturally be the Foundation Establishment Realm. Their entire level of life would undergo a huge change. It was appropriate to describe them as supremes. The 6 supremes were fewer than expected. Heaven Eye Monarch's gaze swept across the crowd and landed on Sky Sword Mountain's Elder Jean Yuancheng. He smiled and said, "Elder Jean, long time no see. Your sword intent has become much more condensed. Congratulations. You are not far from breaking through to Qi cultivation stage. If it was during normal times, Jean Yuancheng would definitely feel proud. It wasn't easy to gain recognition. However, after suffering a loss from Lin Fei, he didn't think so anymore. Senior, you must be joking. I am still some distance away from Qi cultivation stage. If I can enter Qi cultivation stage in my lifetime, this old man will be satisfied." Jean Yuancheng wasn't joking. At his current realm, it was still somewhat difficult to break through to Qi cultivation stage. Although he already had the strength of Qi cultivation stage, it wasn't the true Qi cultivation stage. Therefore, his sword formation couldn't display its true power. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like this just now. On the other hand, this old man has to admit his inferiority to this young man's strength. Nowadays, each generation is surpassing the previous one. This old man has no choice but to admit his old age. Jean Yuancheng let out a long sigh. He directly pointed out Lin Fei. "If this old man can't deal with you, then I'll let Heaven Eye Monarch deal with you. Heaven Eye Monarch likes talented people the most." The 4 heavenly kings were the strongest experts under supremes in the Kunlun mystic realm. Anyone who had fought with the 4 heavenly kings had all lost. They had fought with their true strength and didn't rely on bragging. Everyone was convinced of the strength of the 4 heavenly kings. When Yi Zixuan heard this, she cursed in her heart. She quickly said, "Lin Fei, you have to be careful. This Jean Yuancheng is too evil. From what I know, Heaven Eye Monarch's greatest hobby is to spar with others. He especially likes to spar with those talented people. In his opinion, having talent without strength is a waste of talent. This kind of person shouldn't be alive. Therefore, countless talented experts have died in his hands. In private, people call him the Pride Slayer